Hi, I'm Chris Haroun, and this MBA degree program is not what you think. It's better. This program is more than 25 years of business experience, all rolled into one easy-to-access online program. I've sold over 1 million courses in every single country. I've worked at Goldman Sachs. I have an MBA from Columbia University, and I've worked in the venture capital, hedge fund, and consulting industries. I've also started many companies, and my courses have been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, CNN, and NBC. If you're ready to nail your next interview, get a better job, get a raise, start that business you've always dreamt of, improve the one you currently run, or better manage your personal finances, then this MBA degree program is for you. I can't begin to tell you how comprehensive this program is. It's got everything, including more than 300 hours of on-demand video. And check out all the amazing reviews from students who have already enrolled in this MBA degree program. This on-demand version of the program is only $499, and it's more up-to-date than many of these old-fashioned MBA programs, which cost you well over $100,000. Not to mention, they don't even teach you the practical concepts included in my program. Last but not least, there is a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. And because you can access this program from any device, meaning a desktop computer or a laptop computer or a tablet or even your smartphone, it means you can comfortably fit it into your schedule. Even if you work full-time, it's no problem. So if you're ready to unlock the key to your potential, then I'll see you in class. Good morning and welcome to our 86th weekly webcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way the call works is I answer all questions in the order in which they're received. This is an AMA, meaning ask me anything. And the call ends in actually 3 hours. And you can ask me business questions, career questions, personal questions, any questions you want. And what happens is the call is actually transcribed within 24 hours. And what that means is 24 hours after the call is done, you can go to this YouTube link here, this video you're watching. And if you go to the description field, you can see all the questions answered and the time they are answered at. So you can click on them and immediately go to the answer that's most of interest to you. And so you might have seen the opening promotional trailer for this week's webcast. This week we actually launched, I'm really excited to say, we launched the on-demand version of our MBA degree program. And what that means is you can get access to over 300 hours of my classes and get an MBA degree from my school. Now there's 3 different levels of MBAs that we offer. There's silver, gold, and platinum. And probably the best way for me to explain it is to actually go to my website with you right now. So if you go to harounventures.com, and then you click here on MBA program, you'll see here that there's 3 different packages. So the one package I just advertised at the beginning today is the silver package, which is $499. And it's more than 300 hours of on-demand videos, and you can complete it in less than a year. And it's $499. You can click here to get it. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, 100% money-back guarantee. For an MBA, that's rare. And by the way, I looked at the top MBA programs in the world, and they all cost about $500 per hour each, including a room, board, lost revenue from being in school full-time, etc. So that's the silver package. And you can start the silver package today. Then there's the gold and platinum packages, which you have to wait until this December to do because I teach it live. And the gold package is everything you get in the silver package, plus about 200 hours worth of live Q&A with me, with everybody in the class. And this current class we have, we started last December. We have 158 students. 2 of them asked for their money back within the first month. Then there's the platinum package, which is the same as the gold and silver, except you get one-on-one access to me as well. I provide you with a lot of one-on-one meetings so I can humbly help in any way I possibly can. And so if anybody has questions about these packages, you can always go to my website and go to the FAQ under the MBA Degree Program right here. Or you can ask me right now in class. Thank you. And currently, all the students that are doing my MBA Degree Program that started last December, doing the one-year program, they're all in the platinum package. Thank you. All right, let's begin. And I'm trying a new camera angle today. Let me know what you guys think, actually. It's this one right here. I thought I'd kind of give a behind-the-scenes look. And yes, I did have to clean it up like it was a disaster, the floor, before I cleaned this up, to be intellectually honest and transparent as always. First question is from Shubham, who's saying, hey, Chris, hope you're doing well. Likewise. What advice would you give to someone who's stepping into the corporate world, specific to exploring your likes and dislikes? Yeah. So my uncle Michael gave initially, and what he said was, and I didn't understand at the time, it seemed really out there, but I get it now. He's smart. He said, you want to be a nice, dumb guy. And I said, what do you mean by that? I don't want to come across as dumb. I mean, if I speak, they'll know I'm dumb. If I say nothing, they'll just think I'm dumb. And he said, you don't want to challenge people right away. You kind of want to observe how the culture works. And he also said that you want to make sure that you mentor other people, because that way you're reinforcing your own ideal skill set that you like to get one point in your life. He said also find many mentors, many Yodas in the company if you possibly can as well. He also told me, and this is different, I've never mentioned this before. He said never ever ever date anybody at work, and he said unless it's a sure thing, like this is somebody you're going to marry for the rest of your life, because it can be incredibly distracting. Because if there's a breakup, one of you leaves pretty quickly from the firm, or both, or whatever. It's uncomfortable. And in many companies now, if you date somebody at work, then you have to actually report it to human resources. Yeah. And he also told me never go over anybody's head, your boss's head, I should say, because if you do, obviously it's really going to hurt your career. Now, I having worked for many different companies, many different industries, I would change that statement to don't go over your boss's head unless you feel like your boss wants to let you go and you've got nothing to lose anyway. And I'm happy to go down that path if you'd like to. It has to do with corporate politics, which I despise, but sometimes it's do or die. There's a lot of sharks at work, unfortunately. Make sure, though, in your first 2 weeks to meet as many people as you can. And remember when you were in school, the first 2 weeks of high school or undergrad, the first 2 weeks you made a lot of friends, and you're still friends with those people today. And so there's kind of like a two-week window of opportunity for you to network and get to know people. You're the new kid in town, so to speak, when you start at a new company. And I also want you to set up many different networking meetings with potential mentors. And what you can do is you can actually get my book on mentoring and networking at my website, harounventures.com. Let's go there together, harounventures.com. And if you scroll down to the bottom here, you'll see my networking book, which you can download for free. Please download it. It's free. And I promise you, it will help you a lot as you start your career. Because one thing I've realized after working for many, many years is that relationships are more important than product knowledge. And your net worth is really your network. Oh, one more thing I got to add. One more thing. So when you're younger and you're in school, if you do a great job and get good grades, your parents are proud of you and you're happy, life works. And then you join the corporate world and you keep your head down and you work really hard and you find that you're not getting promoted and you're not getting a raise. In fact, other people around you that you think might be, I don't know, a little bit less competent than you are getting raises faster than you or promoted faster than you. The reason is because if you want to get anything in life, especially when you work in a corporation, if you want to get anything, you got to ask. If you want to get a raise, you got to ask. If you want to get a promotion, you have to ask. If you want to get a date outside of work, you have to ask, that sort of thing. So you got to be aggressive and persistent. And nobody's ever made it to CEO without asking to be promoted many, many times. Nobody's ever gotten massive raises without asking for them over and over and over again. And there's a tactful way to do it as well. So the best way to do it is, well, every 3 months, I want you to sit down with your boss and ask her or him for feedback. How am I doing? And you don't want to just start the meeting like that. You want to sugarcoat it, if it's true, by saying something along the lines of, I really love being part of the team. We've accomplished a lot together. I'd love to add even more value if I humbly can. Please let me know what I need to do to add more value to the team and what I need to do in order to get promoted. And they'll tell you. And then what you do is you've got the criteria for promotion. That's your goal. And now there's a gap and you got to fill that gap. So you work on filling that gap. And then 3 months later or 3 years later or whatever it is, once you've fulfilled all the criteria and once your boss gives you some very positive feedback and they're in a good mood, ask them if they have time for a meeting. Sit down with them and say, I've fulfilled all the criteria. Please let me know if I can have that raise or promotion now. And you can start it off being a little bit more genuine or political, I should say, by saying something along the lines of, I really enjoy being a part of this team. We've accomplished a lot together, all that stuff. And then you could say something like this if it's true, of course. However, it's really expensive to live here in the Bay Area and raising a family is difficult. And I want to be able to provide for my family the best standard of living I possibly can. And I'm humbled to say I've fulfilled all the criteria to get promoted to the next level. And I'm just asking you, please, if I can please be promoted. Thank you. Yeah. You got to ask. You'll never get anything you want in business unless you ask. That's what sales is. Somebody that can ask in a nice way. And the only way to make CEO or to get, rise through the ranks or to become a partner in a law firm or a venture capital firm is to learn how to be a great salesperson. Yeah. And when somebody says no, don't hear no. I want you to hear not yet. All right. All right. Next question we got is from Daniel. Daniel is saying, hello, Chris. Hope all is well. Likewise. I'm an international student looking to work in the United States. Given the impact of COVID in the job market, would you advise entering your full-time MBA in 2022, or deferring until later? Yeah. If you're talking about my MBA degree program, not sure if you are, you can actually enter in right now for the silver version of the MBA degree. The gold and platinum, you still have to apply and write an essay, and then we'll accept later this year for that 1-year program. If you're talking about other programs, I think the best time to be in school is during a recession. And the reason is because obviously not that many companies or not as many companies are hiring. So if you do get acceptance right now, I would probably take it right now instead of deferring it for a year because we're in a horrific recession right now. It might be the worst. We might see the biggest year-over-year decline in GDP, which is revenue for the country. Might see the biggest decline in economic activity in GDP that we've seen since the Great Depression, before most people on this call were alive. And 20 million people in the United States have filed for unemployment in the past couple of weeks. That's scary. That's scary, and that's a record high. And so I'd be in school right now if you have that luxury, if you have that choice. I wouldn't defer acceptance. I do it now. I'm assuming you're talking about another MBA degree program, not mine. So I would do that MBA degree program, not mine. I would do that one now if you can, and not defer it. Yeah. No, things are brutal. Things are brutal. We all know that, and we've all been quarantined at home here for a while now, and it's frightening. I mean, we're making the best of it, of course, and I try to stay positive. I look at the number of people that recover every day. I don't just look at the number of people that move on. Also, I think my kids and your kids and all of our kids are, if they're at home with you right now, they're going to look back upon this point in time and say that yeah, things were terrible, but the bright side, if there was one, was that I really got to bond with my mom and dad and spend a lot of quality time with them. And by the time your child is 12 years old, you've already spent 80% of the time you'll ever spend with them. Actually, it's 90%. That's a true statistic. Yeah, it's backed up by data. It is. But now I've got my kids at home. I've got a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old, and I've also got a 15-year-old. Let me show you. Actually, I got a picture here, and this is when they were a bit younger, obviously. But this is a time for you to bond with your kids if they're at home as well. If there's any sort of silver lining at all, and we pray every day that everybody heals quickly from this awful virus. But you get this opportunity to bond with your kids. It's a gift. It's a gift in a way. Yeah. It does get crazy sometimes, to be intellectually honest. It does. Like my kids hate me right now because I'm doing this webcast, and they actually want to be playing Fortnite or doing classes in school, whatever. Actually, just playing Fortnite. But there are positives. I mean, you get to bond with family. As difficult as this is, and I think that when it comes to COVID, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And I think that the best thing people can do, if they can, is just continue to stay home, just stay safe, and do what you can. Donate your time. I'm humbled to say that I've donated over 1 million courses for free that people have downloaded. I've donated all my courses, and I humbly hope I've made a tiny bit of a difference, very, very tiny, if at all, humbly, especially in Egypt, where my dad is from originally. You know what? I've actually had close to 100,000 new students just in Egypt downloading the Arabic versions of my courses for free. And what worries me about Egypt and places where you have big concentrations of people living together, the problem with Egypt is that you've got, and my heart goes out to them, that everybody lives along the Nile pretty much. I mean, the rest of the country is desert. And so it's really, really dangerous to go outdoors if you don't have a mask on. And so that's one of the many reasons why I gave away a ton of my courses there as well. I want to humbly help if I possibly can. Yeah, we're all in this together. Next question is, when you start a private company, do you declare a number of shares at the very start or when you decide to go public? Yeah. So the only time you declare the number of shares is when you raise money from other people, high net worth investors or venture capital firms, or if you hire employees and you want to give them part of the company. That's when you create shares. And I would always get a lawyer, please, to draft up any sort of documentation that has to do with shares or raising money. Always, always, always. And you can go to LegalZoom.com to get this done. And I'm not sponsored by anybody. I want to humbly help if I can. But at LegalZoom.com, you can talk to lawyers on the cheap. I do it all the time there when it comes to trademarking and copyrighting my stuff. Then every time you raise money, what happens is more shares are created. And you as the founder get diluted because you're selling shares to a new party. Everybody gets diluted. However, the earlier stage big investors like the venture capital firms, they have what's called the pro rata right to buy additional shares each time you raise more money so that they still own the same percent of the company and they do not get diluted. They have that right. They don't have to execute their pro rata, but quite often they do. And by the time you go public, then what happens is there's two different share classes, usually in an IPO, meaning when you go to list on the stock market. And those are as follows. There's primary shares, and then there's secondary shares. Now, primary shares are new shares that are created, so everybody gets diluted. And everyone's okay with getting diluted that works at the company that owns shares because the price is going to be much, much higher for those new primary shares. Then there are what are called secondary shares that are sold. And what secondary shares are shares that are currently owned by employees or investors or you, the entrepreneur, the founder of the company, and you get to sell in the IPO if you want to. And venture capital firms usually sell the bulk of their shares in secondary shares when a company goes public because they have to harvest their investment. You know, for me, for example, the last notable one I did was a company called Nimble Storage. The ticker was NMBL. It went public, founded by a brilliant man named Haroun. And Suresh Vasudian was the CEO. He's the best CEO on the planet. And 6 months after Nimble Storage went public, and they got acquired eventually, but the ticker was NMBL. 6 months after they got acquired, or 6 months after they went public, when the stock was, I think, about $30 years ago, I sold every share. And so those were secondary shares I was allowed to sell. Now, I had to wait 6 months because when you work in venture capital and the company goes public that you invested in, you're locked up for 6 months. Then you can sell. And that's why quite often what happens is you see stocks go down a bunch 6 months after the IPO date. It's kind of hot in here. I got to put these on here. But I had to sell. And I always sell because it's a large percentage of my liquid net worth. Some venture capital investors don't ever sell. And the last thing I'll say on this topic is there's a brilliant man who I've met named John Doerr. And he's one of the top dudes at a great venture capital firm called Kleiner Perkins. And one of the partners at Kleiner Perkins guest lectured in one of my classes. And he said that John Doerr has never sold a single share of Amazon since he invested in one of the earlier venture capital rounds. And his return is over 50,000%. It's true. It's crazy. But John Doerr is much more wealthy than I am. Yeah. But basically what happens is 6 months after every IPO, venture capitalists are allowed to sell at that point. Yeah. All right. When companies are trading stocks every day on Wall Street, how is it? Hold on one second, guys. I want to go down and make sure that there's no audio or issues here. Okay, we're good. There's no complaints. Good. Okay, the question is, when companies are trading stocks every day on Wall Street, how is the tracking of the share prices done and how is it calculated? Is the valuation done through PE, DCF, or some other manner? Yeah. So in terms of what the price is set at, the price of anything in the world is set by the last purchase price done. So if you ever want to sell something used on eBay, you go and look to see what products have sold on eBay to see what the last price was for that product that got sold. And sometimes one data point doesn't make a trend. Sometimes you have to look at 2 or 3 or 4 more products that are sold and calculate the average price before listing your product you want to sell on eBay, for example. By the same token, on the stock market, the last price that somebody was willing to sell their shares for, meaning someone else purchased, that last price is what sets the price for that company. Yeah. And if a company is materially undervalued, then there's an arbitrage opportunity. And sophisticated investors make sure that it's always fairly valued if possible. Now, you want to make sure that you only transact in stocks that trade a lot every day, a lot of dollars worth or money worth every day. Otherwise, you'll be a stuck holder because you'll find that illiquid stocks own you in a down market rather than vice versa. You can't get out fast enough. The bottom line is, though, that the price is always set by whatever the last price or transaction was. Yeah. And then you ask here, is the valuation done through PE, DCF, or some other manner? Yeah, I mean, it all depends because when these sophisticated investors or less sophisticated investors, depending on how much experience they have, when they value companies, they tend to use different valuation metrics. And so it all depends what kind of investor you are. If you're a value investor, meaning you like to buy stuff that's cheap, like Warren Buffett, who's brilliant, then you might look at price to book, or you might look at cash flow metrics. If you're a growth investor, like I am, meaning you like to buy expensive stocks that seem expensive today, but they're cheap based on my earnings estimates in 5 or 10 years, then you don't look at price to book. You usually look at price to earnings or price to revenue. Now, when a company goes public, what the investment bankers do is they create what's called a sales memo along with a group of people at investment banks called Equity Capital Markets, or ECM. And in that sales memo is a summary of the deal, the company going public. And the salespeople that work on a trading floor will read that sales memo. And usually on the front page of that sales memo, there's reasons why your customers should buy that stock, along with some risks. And there's also usually 3 different valuation methodologies to value the company. Quite often they use DCF, which I don't like, but they use it because the reason I don't like is there's a lot of unknown variables. And yeah, if I tell you X plus 1 is 3, then X is 2. If I tell you X plus 1 plus Q plus W plus P plus remote control plus microphone, whatever I see, is 3. What is X? You have no idea because there's too many unknown variables. That's what DCF is. So they provide valuation metrics for DCF, sometimes price to earnings if they have earnings, and price to revenue, which is useful if a company does not have revenue. And then you triangulate the average target price based on those 3 aforementioned methodologies. And so a lot of people that invest in new companies, they'll look at those 3 valuation methodologies. It all depends, though, if you're a growth investor, you like to buy expensive stuff, or a value investor, you like to buy cheap stuff. There's many different ways to value companies. Yeah. And it's not that simple. Like there's no one size fits all. Otherwise, we wouldn't need people to invest. Just computers would do all of it. Yeah. Okay, next up is Chris. When you ask us to follow our passion, what kind of security should we have done before? Should we have beforehand? Also, how do you deal with toxic people at the workplace while trying to radiate positivity? Yeah, these are great questions. Okay, let me answer them in order. The question is, how do we follow our passion, and what kind of security should we have beforehand? Meaning, how much money should you have before following your passion? I don't think it matters. I think you should, when you're working for somebody else, if you're allowed to, and even if you're not allowed to, always think about what company you can start on the side. Start a side hustle. It doesn't cost you any money to start a company on the side. If you have a browser and heart, and you're willing to give up, or not to give up, you're willing to fail a couple times, then you can do it. You can take my complete business plan course if you want. And it's free to write a business plan, obviously, for anybody. And you can start companies on the side. Don't think about starting companies, though, where you're creating a physical product, because inventory can destroy your company. Think about selling a virtual product, like teaching online like I do. And by the way, anybody can teach online. It's really, really easy to do. And if you go to my Udemy page on udemy.com, you'll see I have a number of courses that are free on how to teach online. When one teaches, two learn. Everybody can do it. But I really recommend that you start a side hustle while you work for other people. Always, always, always. Because if you don't, then you're putting too much confidence in the management of the company you're working for. And sometimes companies will cut into muscle, not just fat, meaning they overfire, just like they overhire. And if that happens to you, you want to have a backup plan just in case. Otherwise, you're doing yourself and, more importantly, your family a disservice. So when it comes to working, the priority of loyalty is your family first, yourself second, then the company. And I know that's a harsh thing to say. And maybe you're saying, Chris, you're not a team player, you're not loyal. Well, you know what, dude? A lot of companies aren't loyal to you. There's a lot of great companies out there, but sometimes they overfire. And sometimes your boss hires you and you're so damn good at what you do that your boss feels threatened by you. You know what I'm talking about? It's happened to most people. And so your boss feels like they hired their assassin. Even if you're a nice person you're not a corporate assassin, they feel threatened. And if you're too good at what you do, sometimes you'll get let go. It happens all the time. And if there's anybody listening right now and that's happening to you right now, I want you to channel that frustration. You see, frustration's a beautiful thing in business, because what it does ultimately is it forces you to find a different path where you can get rid of that frustration. And that additional path might be you actually starting your own company or interviewing with another company. And whenever another company calls you to interview you, or a headhunter, you take that meeting. Always, 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 always. You need to have a plan B. You might think, Chris, wait a second. That's not being loyal to the company I work for. Well, you know what? You're being disloyal to your family if you don't do that. You got to have a plan B. And what I also recommend is, if you have the budget for it, if your company gives you one of these things, if you have the personal budget for it, I want you to buy the exact same one and keep that as your personal version. And I want you to carry that around with you. And when you're at work, obviously I have 2 cell phones, but when you're at work, if you get a message from a headhunter on your Gmail account, obviously reply on your personal phone, do the call on your personal phone. Also, if your boss is making you work late one night for FaceTime reasons, and you're sitting around just kind of doing nothing. It's ridiculous. Then what I want you to do is use your personal phone as your Wi-Fi hotspot, connect it to your computer at work, okay, or a laptop at work, whatever, and start writing your business plan. And take that frustration and turn it into a diamond in the rough, so to speak. And just know that you're in great company if you feel frustrated at work, because a lot of amazing people were frustrated at work and were fired that were good at what they did. Michael Bloomberg, for example, he was fired by Merrill Lynch. And so he got his revenge by starting his own company. He's a billionaire now, and he's done a lot of wonderful things for the world from a humanitarian perspective. So frustration's a good thing. It's actually a beautiful thing because it forces you to get outside your comfort zone and get a better job, or better yet, start a company. And so if your goal in life has always been to start your own company, start it on the side. I can't tell you how many companies I've started on the side. I remember I was frustrated one day working at a hedge fund called Kingdon Capital. And what I did, and Mark Kingdon, the guy that owns the firm, is a wonderful guy. I was frustrated there at one point. And so I went out and I registered the internet address that you're all use now to go to some of my websites. It was Haroun Capital, I think I registered, which gets forwarded to Haroun Ventures now. But had I not been frustrated at work, I would never be doing what I'm doing now. And I don't feel like I have a job. I really do feel like I have a passion. And Mark Twain said the two most important days in your life are, number one, the day you're born, and number two, the day you find out why. So when you're frustrated at work, you might be forced to find out what your why is. What is your purpose? What's your passion? What was the reason that you were put on this earth? It wasn't to work for somebody else forever. And if you are feeling frustrated working for somebody else, then that's a beautiful thing, because that will force you to start your own company. Yeah. And if you wake up in the morning and you tell yourself you're going to work, then with all due respect, you're doing it wrong. You got to find your purpose, your passion, your raison d'être. What was the reason you were put on this earth? And the second you wake up one day and you tell yourself, I'm not getting out of bed to do a job, I'm getting out of bed to do my passion, then I want you to latch onto that and be like a pit bull on a pork chop and never let go ever, 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 ever. There's no better feeling in the world than, being independent, and I don't usually swear, but I'm going to, so earmuffs. There's nothing worse than spending the rest of your life being someone else's bitch. And there's nothing worse than waking up one day when you're really, really old and you realize, oh my goodness, I work for this jerk who's paying me this much money to make his dreams become a reality. Don't let that happen to you. Start a lot of companies on the side. Write a lot of business plans first, though, please, because failing to plan is planning to fail. And if you have more questions about how to write a great business plan, you can go to harouneducation.com. And you can access my courses there, one of which is a business plan course. Or better yet, join me in my MBA Degree Program, which has a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. No MBA programs do that. It's a great deal. I'd love to see you join us. Holy infomercial, Chris. Sorry. All right. The question is, how do you deal with toxic people in the workplace while you're trying to radiate positivity? Yeah. If you can avoid them, please try to. If you can't avoid them, then don't let them bait you with their poisonous politics. And just say two words. Ready? If they say something to you and whatever answer you give is going to create an argument, then all you got to do is don't say that answer. Just say these two words. I understand. Try it. When they try to bait you into their poisonous politics and they ask you a question, and no matter what you answer, you're going to get screwed for it or whatever, or they're condescending jerks to you, just say, I understand. And the last thing I'll say about this, and this is a great quote, is if they criticize you, I want you to tell yourself in your mind, Unjustified criticism is nothing more than a disguised compliment. Unjustified criticism is nothing more than a disguised compliment. Just think that up here, because perception becomes reality. It's like the Rodin sculpture. I think, therefore I am. And then just smile inside, knowing that they're so insecure that they just gave you a wonderful compliment. So you got to think to yourself, bring it on, doubters. And Shabam is saying, thank you for your courses and time, Chris. Stay safe. Likewise, thank you. And thanks for the emojis there. I like that. And Saloni is saying, hey, Chris, thanks for the opportunity. My pleasure. How can I be a better negotiator? Yeah. So some people are going to hate this answer, but I wear my heart on my sleeve. Okay. And I'm very unemotional when it comes to business and politics. And I find that the best people in business are very unemotional. Sometimes borderline Asperger's syndrome. Like, I've worked for a lot of billionaires. I won't say which ones, but a couple of them are so disconnected sometimes. I kind of think like they had Asperger's syndrome, which helped them in their business, because basically they don't get too happy when things go great. And conversely, they don't freak out when things don't go well. And you have to be like that in business. You got to be incredibly unemotional. You know, as Dale Carnegie said, we have to realize in business that people are often creatures of emotion and not creatures of logic. Yeah. So when you're negotiating, and the reason I mentioned all that emotion stuff is because I'm going to recommend a book by Donald Trump. Here I go. Okay. I did not vote for him, but let's call a spade a spade. He can negotiate. Even if you dislike his politics, he can negotiate. You should read his book that I read back in 1987 when I was 15. I'm dating myself. I'm an old man now. Read his book called The Art of the Deal. It's a little dated, but it still has credence to it. And what Trump does is this, okay? And it seems so extreme sometimes, and it is. But if this is Trump and this is the other party, and they're arguing about something, and the other party wants this, and Trump wants this, Trump will say, I want this. It's so ridiculous. And instead of meeting halfway, they'll meet slightly closer to where he is. Love him or hate him, he can get a deal done. So read his book, The Art of the Negotiation, if you can. And one more thing I'll say in business is that business is about relationships first and product knowledge second. And for those of you new to business and new to sales, and new to negotiations, when you meet with somebody in business for the first time, or even the second time, don't jump into business right away. I want you to bond before business. I want you to get to know them a little bit before jumping into a negotiation. And, do it with sincerity and see their point of view as much as you can. And what will happen is, if they like you, and like you they will, then the likelihood of you getting what you want as part of negotiation does increase, to be intellectually honest. So I want you to know your clients, know your customer, know the person you're going to be doing business with. And the best way to get to know them and know about them before you meet them for the first time is go to their Twitter profile and see who they follow. You'll learn a lot about a person by seeing who they follow. Maybe they follow a certain sports team that you love, and you can indirectly bring that up when you're meeting with them as well. And you can bond by using sports, for example. And sports is great boardroom talk. Maybe find out who else they're following. And by the way, never follow politicians on Twitter, because half the people won't like you. I don't know what half. But if you're looking at the profile of somebody you're going to meet with, and you see what kind of politician they follow, it might actually change how you bond with them a little bit. And every battle is won before it's been fought. It's a great way to do research, and nobody does this. For example, Bill Gates. He follows about 200 people or organizations on Twitter. And the only non-Microsoft entity and non-charity entity that he follows, that's a company, is Udemy. And so Bill Gates is very passionate about Udemy and about online education. And so before a meeting with Bill Gates, you might want to think about online education as one of the many topics you'll potentially bring up when you meet with him. And I've met with him before, and he is insanely smart. He's a little bit different when you meet with him in real life. When he's on TV, he's media trained and he speaks eloquently and slowly, and he's great at explaining stuff. When you meet with him, he talks a lot faster. Nice guy, though, but he talks a lot faster. Yeah. All right, Atul, how are you? Atul's got a question here. The question is, do you recommend debt instruments and bonds for trading? And should they be included in our portfolio? After all, it justifies the rule of diversification. I do. But you mentioned the word trading. I don't recommend trading at all. I recommend buy and hold. Or if you've already bought the stock or bond, buy and homework. And if you trade, I promise you, it's only a matter of time until you lose a lot of money. And the worst thing that can happen to anybody is they start trading and they make money right away. Because it's like going to a casino. If you've been to a casino one time, you made a lot of money. Don't go back again, man. The system is rigged. You cannot make money every month by trading because every month has 20 weekdays, which means 20 trading days. And quite often you'll be fooled by randomness. You'll be right for the wrong reasons or vice versa. And usually the reason stocks go up or down in a short amount of time is not because of the fundamentals on a certain company or treasury instrument. Usually it's because of geopolitical events outside of your control. It might be saber rattling between Riyadh and Moscow regarding the price of oil. And that can have a positive or negative impact on the price of oil, which positively or negatively impacts most stocks in the world because most stocks are based on the price of oil, at least commodity and industrial related stocks, I should say, gold being the exception. So understand that, and understand that sometimes the reason that stocks go up or down in a short amount of time is not only due to geopolitical factors outside of your control, but it's also due to the fact that a similar company in the same sector released positive or negative news. And so I really do believe in Warren Buffett's methodology when it comes to investing, which is this. The longer the view, the wiser the intention. And you got to be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. Now, with respect to bonds, yeah, absolutely. I think every portfolio should have bonds in them. Make sure that they're A-rated or above, AAA rated, hopefully. And the way it works in bonds is it goes AAA, which is the best, AA, A, and then anything below that is triple B, whatever. Don't invest anything below A level, please. Otherwise, you get into high yield or junk bond territory, which can be kind of dangerous. And you can lose a lot of money in bonds as well. People don't realize that. People think, oh, well, if I invest in U.S. government bonds, I won't lose my money. You can lose every penny. If you invest in U.S. treasuries, I think you're fine because I think the United States government and U.S. federal debt is the lowest risk investment opportunity in the world. It's all relative. But if you invest in municipal bonds, meaning Orange County, for example, in Southern California, there's a region called the OC, like the TV show, Orange County. If you invested in Orange County municipal bonds, then you lost pretty much all your money because the OC, as a region in Southern California, declared bankruptcy a while back. And the bondholders got pretty much wiped out. So I would just make sure that the bonds are AAA rated if you can do it. Do your own research, roll up your sleeves, and understand the tax mandate as well. Because quite often when you invest in what are called municipal bonds, you don't pay taxes on them. They're tax-free. Just do your research. Do a ton of research. Read the prospectus as well. Don't ever invest in a stock or a bond without reading the investor memorandum that comes with it. You have the legal right to get it and read it. Read them first, please. When it comes to ETFs or mutual funds even, you can also read the prospectus and read the fine print and really do your own research and deep research. And Warren Buffett, when he invests in a company, he invests with the understanding that the market might be closed for 10 years. Now, of course, the market won't be closed for 10 years, but that's how long-term focused he is. All right. I can't believe this is week 86. It's amazing. It goes by fast. It's fun, though. Wondering how I change the cameras without my hands. It's just me in here. I set up pedals, and I set them up in order. So that's that one. The middle pedal is this. And then I've got a pedal for this one here on what's called a slider. And that's my oldest camera, my favorite one. It's an old DSL from 2012, but it works great. And the price of the equipment is less relevant. It's how well you know how to use the equipment. And so a lot of people with iPhones or Android handsets can get better video quality than I can with all of my cameras here. But this is kind of a behind the scenes look right here. You can see that's it's moving a little bit, and that's because it's on a slider. And what happens is, and I studied, Dan Rather has a course on Udemy, but I studied his stuff. And Dan Rather uses this slider here. It's called a one-man crew slider. It's actually pretty small, and you bring it with you to interviews. But it's kind of interesting. It gives you kind of a different perspective on the background and whatnot. And the reason why I have yellow up here and blue is because I started doing a lot of research on colors. And when Sir Isaac Newton put some light through glass and discovered the prism, and when he invented gravity, I'll show you. He found out there's the color wheel. You guys have all seen this. So the color wheel is it's great for graphics designers as well. And I'll show you over here so that my face is not covering it up. But what you want to do is when you're making thumbnails or images in general, you want to try to use colors that are opposite each other. And so what I did was I tried to get orange and blue. They're opposite on the color wheel. It has a nice pop to it. And that's what graphic artists do. So that's why I tried to emulate with the yellow light there, right behind me where Superman is. Yeah. Okay, next one is Raviraj has a question. Ravi is saying, hello, Chris. I hope you're doing well. Likewise. I applied for the MBA course. Hope you get the chance to read my essay and see if I fit the criteria for admission. Thank you. Appreciate that. We received just a ton of applications, which is one of the reasons why we're doing the on-demand version as well. And so, again, if you're curious what the difference is between the three tiers of the MBA degrees that I offer, just go to harouneducation.com, and then you can click up on the top there to MBA FAQ. But what we released yesterday was, and it's the promotional trailer we started off this webcast with today. What we released yesterday was the silver version. There's silver, gold, and platinum, and the silver version is on demand. And anybody can take it, and you don't have to apply. But the gold and platinum versions are the ones that start this December, and you do have to apply for that. So we will be getting back to you shortly. We've been flooded with applications, but we'll get back to you soon. And thank you. Thank you. Actually, I'll take a screen print so I don't forget. Okay, thanks. And Albus is saying, hello, Chris. Can you tell me about business summits? What happens there and how to strike deals? I have a model summit coming up. Thanks. Yeah. So there are big summits all over the world. Like where the top dogs from companies or governments meet. There's one in Davos, Switzerland, every year. And I've been to a lot of conferences as well. I've been to hundreds of investment banking sponsored conferences when I worked in the hedge fund industry. And what happens is when you go to these events, you've got the smartest people in the sector that are there. And you got a lot of CEOs and decision makers. And of course, you want to bring business cards, but more importantly, you want to bond. You never want to just talk business right away. You want to get to know people. And they're usually in great settings, like in Arizona or at golf clubs or at hotels. And if they're out of town events, people go to dinner at night and you bond with people. And I would make sure that you try to bond with them on a personal level before even thinking about selling anything. Just bond as much as possible. And for details on how to do this, you can go to my website, and I have a free book on how to network. It's over 200 pages. I promise you it will help you out tremendously. So check it out. Go to harouneducation.com. Download my free networking book because relationships are more important than product knowledge. Yeah. Next question is it easy for billionaires to contact each other? Could George Soros easily have a 10-minute call with Bill Gates? Just curious. Yeah. I mean, they've met each other before, the two of them. So, I mean, yeah. Usually it's hard to get through. And so what George Soros would probably do is he'd probably have his assistant call Bill Gates' office, or have him call the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And then somebody will pick up the phone that's not Bill or Melinda. And they'll be able to set up a time to chat. That sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah. And Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have been obviously both billionaires. They've been friends for decades now. But yeah. And usually when you're in that circle, where we're extraordinarily wealthy or successful or whatever it is, you go to these parties or these events where other people are there that are also very successful. It's one reason why a lot of actors and actresses get married. Like Brad Pitt and Angelina, when they were married, whatever, they were part of that elite circle, so to speak, which I'll never be a part of, even though people mistake me for Brad Pitt all the time, especially my nose. Yeah, no, dad humor. Sorry, I'll stop now. Yeah, but when you're a billionaire or you're the top of your game, so to speak, you're part of these elite groups, right? And there are special clubs here in the San Francisco Bay Area, for example, that are just for very, very successful people, where it's kind of like adult for camps. And when you go to this adult for camps thing, and I'm not going to tell you what the name is, but when you go there, you're not allowed to talk business, but you can actually get to meet a bunch of people. And my old boss, Carson Levitt, who I worked for at Citadel and Pequot, two great hedge funds, he used to work for George Soros, actually, interestingly enough. And he got to meet George Bush Sr., God bless him when he was still with us, at one of these exclusive events out here in the Bay Area. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not into that stuff. That's not me, but yeah. All right. And Abdul is saying, hey, Chris. Hey, Abdul. What career path would you recommend to someone who gets bored too fast? I can't go on doing the same repetitive task every day. I get bored too fast. Please advise. Thanks. Yeah. Wow. I love that question, Abdul, because you're basically me. It took me until my 40s to find out my passion was teaching. And I don't get bored doing this, which is why I have these marathon long sessions. In fact, on October 31st of 2019, we did 9.5 hours straight doing this Q&A call. And it's indexed. You can go to you can watch the video if you want on YouTube. I didn't get up once because I absolutely loved it. I'm very passionate about what I do. But I've worked in many different industries. I worked in consulting, the hedge fund industry. I worked at Goldman Sachs. I worked at Accenture. Sorry. I've worked in venture capital. I've started many companies. I've been in lots of boards. And I kept changing careers over and over and over. And I was able to do it successfully. But I thought something was wrong with me. I thought, my gosh, what is wrong with me? Why do I keep doing this? Why is the happiest day when I change careers or get a new job? Why is the happiest day the first day on that new job? And I thought, am I clinically depressed? What is wrong with me? And so I found out the reason why was because I wasn't doing what I was passionate about, which is teaching. I love doing what I'm doing. And dude, you'll find your passion as well. It just might take some time. And I want you to experiment a lot with different careers and set up a lot of meetings with people that are in different career paths and just ask them what it's like to work, doing that type of job. And you can get my book for free on how to network and how to get these meetings. It's a 200-page book on networking. You can get it from my website, harouneducation.com. But I want you to set up lots of informational meetings until you find an occupation that you don't see as work. You see it as love, as joy. And as Confucius said, find an occupation you love, and you'll never have a job for the rest of your life. And Mark Twain had this great quote. He said, the two most important days in your life are, number one, the day you're born, and number two, the day you find out why. You got to find out your why. If you had to stay home for a month and you couldn't work and you couldn't go to school and you couldn't travel, what would you do with your time? That's your passion. That's what you should follow in life. No matter what anybody says, don't listen to anybody else. right? Don't be someone else's prisoner in their mind. You got one life to live. It's not your parents. It's not your friends. It's not your spouses. It's your life. Choose the career path that makes you happiest, even if the money is not unbelievable. Because if you do what you love doing, the money eventually comes accidentally. It's true. If you chase money, you lose your money and your dreams. If you chase your dreams, as long as you're willing to fail a couple times, and please fail a couple times at least, but if you chase your dreams, they do come true. They do come true. And the money does follow accidentally. And you gotta have like horse blinders on. You know how horses walk with those blinder things on so they don't get distracted. And I want you to horse blind out, if that's a term even, horse blind out everybody in your life that's a distraction to you, that's telling you what career you should have. They're not you. How dare they tell you what to do with your life? And you should cut off everybody in your life that brings you down or makes you feel crappy about what it is you're doing every day with your life anyway. This is your life. You have one life to live. Choose a path that makes you happiest. Because what happens is when we're younger and we're in school, you remember those times when you're younger in school and you would laugh so hard until it hurt, you'd fall down on the ground with your buddies. And then you start working for other people. And there's this kind of, I hate to say it, but corporate lobotomy effect where you stop laughing. You stop being yourself. Because I was insecure. And when you're around other people at work that are more senior, you change the way you are. And life's too short. Just be yourself no matter what they say. And listen to that great song by Sting called Englishman in New York, where he says, be yourself no matter what they say. And just march to the beat of your own drum. And do what makes you happiest in life. And don't give a damn if you fail over and over and over again. Like J.K. Rowling, before she got a contract for her amazing Harry Potter books, she was actually rejected by 30 different publishers. She didn't give a damn. She was a single mother, God bless her. She was an assistant. She hated her job and she kept getting rejected. And she didn't give a damn. She just kept going after it like a pit bull and a pork chop. And I love her for it. 30 times she got rejected. Are you willing to get rejected 30 times? I hope the answer is yes. I hope the answer is yes. And you got to just tell yourself, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. This is my life. I'm running after my dream. And nobody's ever made it big in life, career-wise, without failing a lot first. And as Mark Cuban said, you only have to be right in business one time. You don't hear about everyone else's failures because they're just not interesting to talk about. But Bill Gates failed before he started Microsoft. He started a company with the late, great Paul Allen. God bless him. He's no longer with us. He started a company with Paul Allen called Trafodata, which counted cars. It failed miserably. A lot of people have started amazing companies, but they've failed many times, and they just don't give a damn what people think of them. It's liberating. It's therapeutic. Say it with me. I don't care what people think of X, and then fill in the blank for X. In fact, your homework today is this, please. I want you to get a piece of paper, and I want you to write down this. I don't care what people think of X, and fill in the blank for X 10 times. I don't care what people think of my career path. I don't care what people think of my bad hair dye. And it is a bad hair dye sometimes. I try. It's getting better, but it's a bad hair dye. I don't care. I don't care what people think of my nose. But dude, it's aerodynamic. Like I'm a badass skier because I can tuck much gooder. My mom's watching. She's probably saying, Christopher, it's better. Much gooder, Mom, than anybody else. Because this thing is damn aerodynamic, okay? I just don't care. And it's incredibly liberating to get to a point in your life where you just tell yourself, I don't care. And as Les Brown prophetically said, someone else's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And let me end this question with a great quote from Seth Godin. who's a marketing genius. Seth Godin said, "You already have everything you need to build something bigger than yourself." And I believe it. All right. But Abdul, you are me though. You're totally me. Yeah. I love it. I love it. That's actually a gift you get bored fast, because it means that you're going to keep jumping between career to career to career to career, getting bored quickly. The life cycle of boredom is shorter for you, which is awesome. Same with me. And then eventually you'll find your passion. And when you find it, I want you to be a pit bull and a pork chop and never let go. And I can't tell you how liberating it is to do what you love doing in life. You know, it's kind of like for those of you that have kids. Do you remember? And for those of you who don't have kids, I'm jealous and excited for you, because when you hold your child for the first time, you unlock this insane amount of euphoria, happiness, joy, etc., that you never felt before in your life. It's incredible. And when you do what you love doing every day, career-wise, it's the same feeling. Not as good, obviously, because kids are more important than work, but you get a little bit of that lightning in a bottle, so to speak. And I wear my heart on my sleeve. That's actually my license plate. I can't drive because of Corona, whatever. So I'm like, screw it. I'll take this off my license plate or off my car and just throw it out here. Edutained. Yeah. All right. And 4GO says, "Hi, Chris. I recently decided to change my career to software development. I'm very passionate about coding and web development. Please give me some recommendations." Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love programming. I love creating. I love to think like an artist and create. And let me show you something. I love programming. The only thing I hated about when I worked at Accenture is that they promoted me to manage other people, and I just want to create, man. So this is for my MBA degree students, one of the many props, and I love using props when I teach, kind of like show and tell. But I made this. I said, enjoy creating with software, fun. And when you use software, it's like a puzzle. It's like you're playing, I don't know, Cut the Rope or GTA 5, best game ever, or whatever it is. It's a puzzle. Enjoy it. Be creative. You know, there's a reason why, there's a reason why I have Picasso up here, right? And this is an Easter egg for my MBA degree students. I always move him around, and whoever finds him first wins. So I'll put him back up here. That's Picasso. Yeah. But I want you to, any job you have, whether you're a programmer or whatever it is, you got to be creative and think like an artist and think differently and just enjoy what you do. Enjoy what you do. And you set the soundtrack for your life. So listen to music that inspires you while you work. You know, I listen to classical music. I listen to soundscapes. I listen to soundtracks of movies that inspire me, like Interstellar. Anything Hans Zimmer writes, I love. Or Contact. I listen to the soundtrack from the movie Contact. Anybody who's not seen that movie, you got to watch it today. Because Jodie Foster just epitomizes passion. She's amazing. She inspires me. But you set the soundtrack for your life. And if you listen to inspiring music around you while you code, especially while you code, you'll be more productive. And I remember I used to code for like 10, 12 hours in a row. And this was in the pre-Red Bull days. and so what I drank was Jolt. I don't even know if that exists still. But I remember 10 or 12 hours would go by, boom, like that. And I was in this zone, this coding zone. And I loved it. I loved it because I got to be creative. It was so fun. Condition yourself to enjoy it even more. But let me show you the best tool I've got on the planet when it comes to coding for you. Okay, so let's go to Udemy. And udemy.com. And by the way, I don't get compensated for ever mentioning Udemy. It's an algorithm anyway. You know, my courses will sell if they're good. If not, they won't. But there's this amazing woman I actually met in Berlin recently at a Udemy event. Her name is Angela Yu. She's awesome. And, oh, this is a great story. So she was a doctor initially. And she basically decided, and she lives in England, and she decided that she doesn't want to be a doctor anymore because she's passionate about programming and teaching programming. And so she started making these amazing courses, and anybody can take them. Anybody can take them. And it doesn't matter how old or young you are, or if you have no tech experience or lots, it doesn't matter. She will teach you how to create websites from scratch. She will teach you how to create apps from scratch. These are really engaging courses. Anybody can do it. They're incredibly thorough. The pricing point's amazing. It's a no-brainer. No-brainer. Yeah. And there's somebody else too, named Rob Percival. Yeah, she used to be a doctor, but this is her fun. I want you to find your fun. And Rob is also, they're both from England, which means they speak gooder than me. Don't you find that people that are British, like the English accent, like it's, I don't know, it's like, I think they're smarter than me. They are. Everyone's smarter than me. But this guy, Rob Percival, he's actually, he went to Cambridge. And I went up to visit him. I spent a day with him at Cambridge University, where he lives beside where he teaches. Anyway, he teaches these courses here on how to code. He also teaches how to make apps and all this other fun stuff. Yeah. He's great, though. He's great. He's a machine. Yeah. Good dude. Good dude. But that's what I recommend doing. And I wish I had courses like that when I was younger. Because I remember when I lived in Ottawa years ago. And I wasn't that happy there because I didn't know anybody there. But I lived in an area called Sandy Hill. And I went to, I think it was at night, there was a community college. I went there to learn C. And Visual Basic, which was a blast. It was fun for me. I loved it. And when I taught myself to code, what I would do is I'd buy these books by Sam's Net, which I still have. And they'd be called something along the lines of Teach Yourself Visual Basic in 21 days. Or Teach Yourself Java in 21 days. I hate Java. It crashes all the time. I mean, even now there's a code leak. I think Oracle should just shoot it. Anyway. But I would have taken all these online courses if they were around when I was younger. It's the best deal. It's the best deal. Yeah. So that's what I recommend doing. That's what I recommend doing. Taking those courses because you'll love them to death. You'll thoroughly enjoy them. I miss my programming days. Okay. And Forgio is saying, is it too late to switch careers at 26 years old? I already have an MBA, but I'd like to pursue software development. Oh, dude, I love it. I love it. Yeah. 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 So no, just take those. The question I just answered, by the way, take those software courses I mentioned online. It's never too late. It's never too late to start again. 26, dude, you're young. You know that there's a statistic, which is we are all living 26 years longer than we did in the 1950s. The lifespan has increased 26 years. So if somebody's on this call and you're 46, you're actually 20. Yeah. And he wrote, well, companies ignore me because I have an MBA. No, dude, it's all about networking. Look, I don't think that you should apply to companies whenever you see a job opening. And the reason is because they might look at your application and think, well, he doesn't have coding experience, whatever. But what I want you to do is I want you to set up networking meetings, when you can. And, when I used to teach during the evenings, I taught at this one school, San Francisco State. Love those students. Love them to death. No entitlement. Love them to death. Best school in the Bay Area. But when I used to teach the first day of each semester, what I would say is this. I would say over the next 10 weeks during this course, if I told you, all of you, all 70 of my students here, I used to have a big class. I loved it. If I told all of you that if you set up one networking meeting every week for the next 10 weeks, that you would all get the job of your dreams, would you do it? Every hand goes up. And then on the last day, I asked, how many people did 10 meetings? No hands go up. How many did 9? No hands go up. How many did 8? 1 or 2 hands go up. And the students that put their hand up always got the job of their dreams, and they never had the best grades, ever. So you got to network like crazy if you want to change careers. That's how I've done it. And the best way to network is to read my free networking book. I'll show you how to get it. Just go to harouneducation.com. And then if you scroll down, it's right here. You can get the book for free. It's over 200 pages with a couple hours of YouTube videos. And I promise you, it'll help you tremendously to get the job of your dreams. You can't just apply online, because anytime anybody applies for a job online, there's thousands of other resumes that were sent in. The person that gets that job is the one that's got a connection at that company. I want you to network with people at that company or at different companies. And also, I recommend changing your LinkedIn profile so it's much more tech focused. You can list those Udemy courses, tech courses you've taken on there as well. Or you can sign up for my MBA degree program, and I'll teach you how to create an unbelievable version of your LinkedIn profile and how to network on steroids, etc. And in my program, we actually have a lot of people that already have MBAs from great schools. We've got a couple guys, Kevin Patel, he has an MBA from Notre Dame. We got another guy, Dell, who's based in Texas, and Dell has an MBA from Thunderbird. So a lot of my students, they already have MBAs. And a bunch of doctors as well. And anyway, yeah. And Daniel is saying, hello, Chris. I hope you and your family are doing well. Likewise. What would you say is the most misunderstood aspect of becoming a top-level executive by young professionals? Thank you. Yeah. So I think a lot of people don't realize that the reason people get promoted and rise through the ranks is not just because they're good at what they do, but more importantly, they network a lot. They got to know a lot of people that mentored them, that are their Yodas, so to speak. And more importantly, they asked to get promoted multiple times. Nobody that's made it to the top of any company has gotten there without asking to be promoted many times. You'll never get what you want in life unless you ask. It's like getting a date. You got to ask over and over and over again. The same thing with getting a promotion or a raise. You have to ask for it multiple times. It's never going to just be given to you. You have to ask. Ask and you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. And your homework is this. Please go to YouTube and do a search on 3 words. Steve Jobs Ask. Watch that video. It'll change your life. Gregory in the house. How are you, Gregory? Gregory's saying, hello, Chris. Hope you're all great. Another great call on the way. Thank you. No, it's fun, man. I love it. I look forward to Thursdays. I cherish this. And I've tried to mix it up too. I always try to push the goalpost out. So I had this new camera angle. I might be a little bit overexposed here. But let me show you actually how I set all this stuff up. So I've got this this camera here. It's an old 2012 DSLR Canon. And it's a little choppy here just because this is preview mode. But if you bought a camera that was made after 2010, you can download software and you can kind of run it remotely here. And the reason I do this is because DSLR shut off after 29 minutes for tax reasons. Because if they stayed on for more than 29 minutes, they would be classified as video cameras and taxes would be higher. So that's my little hack to keep that thing on there. Let me go back to where I was. Hold on. I'm lost now. Hold on. Here I am. Whew. Let me just minimize this here and go back to Chris mode. But I always try to push the goalpost out. It's fun. It's fun. Okay, and Greg is saying, Chris, which new business field, excluding online teaching, do you think will be growing in 2020 to 21 to 22? Yeah. Well, I think anything, it's tough for me to say new. I would think anything technology oriented, or maybe just think about, here's a good way to do it. Think about companies that haven't been disrupted by technology yet, or enough. And I think it's financial services and healthcare, because they're highly regulated, and that's why we haven't seen as much innovation as we should have seen. So I would think that anything financial services based or anything healthcare based, add a tech element, and there's a lot of greenfield opportunities online for that. Yeah. Marcus is saying, hello, Chris. I hope all is well. Likewise. I want to venture out my own, but I lack sales and presentation skills. Could you tell me about the Dale Carnegie course you took? I signed up for your courses as well. Yeah, great. No, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so Dale Carnegie has this incredible course on how to give speeches, etc. I took it when I was 18 or 19. And so did Warren Buffett. I'm not in the same camp as him, please. But I mentioned Warren Buffett because he also went to Columbia University to do his master's in business. And on Warren Buffett's wall is not his Columbia degree. On his wall is his certificate of completion for the Dale Carnegie course that he did when he was like 19 years old. It's incredible. It's incredible. And the beauty of it is that it really forces you to get outside your comfort zone and present in front of other people. It's basically like Toastmasters. Like, it's a great thing to do. But if you don't have the budget for it, what you can do is you can actually just go to meetup.com. That's meetup.com, and do a search for Toastmasters and your city name where you live. And you can go to these group meetings, which are free to attend, where you can present as well. And so the bottom line is that the Dale Carnegie course is very much like doing Toastmasters. Yeah. And if you don't have the budget to do a Dale Carnegie course, in addition to doing Toastmasters, then please read the following 2 books by Dale Carnegie. Number 1, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And number 2, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Good morning, Bharat, sorry. Hi, Chris. How are you? I'm great, thank you. I want to start a new product in another category. Should I start with same company or with sister company? Yeah. So I would. So I prefer to do it. This is just me, in the same company, because you can minimize your tax burden if you're going to operate the new line of business at a loss. So, for example, for me, I have courses on many different platforms all over the world. And I started a new company, so to speak, last year when I launched my MBA Degree Program. And I spent a fortune on it. And I haven't broken even. And I don't care if I don't for years. But what I can do is I can use the profits from my other online teaching stuff to offset taxes. So I pay less taxes because of my money losing MBA degree program, which I'm going all in on. Yeah. But I would talk to a tax attorney first. And if you're not going to have any outside investors, then maybe keeping it in the same company is fine. Yeah. But regardless, you have to have that as part of one company, at least, because you don't want to get sued and lose everything. Yeah. And once you start becoming incredibly successful, which you will, you are going to get sued. People are going to come after you. And I despise lawyers. Unless you're a civil rights lawyer, then I love you. Or if you represent me, then I love you. Like, somebody came after me last year over something really, really stupid. And I told them, dude, I'm going to out-litigate you. I don't care. I'm never going to settle. And finally, they dropped the lawsuit. Yeah. And if they're watching, yeah. All right. But lawyers are like taxi drivers. If you're driving your car and a taxi driver cuts you off, that's a lawyer. You're like, screw you. But if you're late to a meeting and you're in the back of a cab and you tell the taxi driver to be aggressive and they get you to the meeting on time, then you love them. Karthik is saying, hello, Chris. Hey, other than doing exercises, how do you motivate yourself to do things that you don't like doing? For example, in my college degree, I love finance. Hence, I enjoy reading, but I find other subjects hard. Yeah. So we're all a product of our environment, and you set the soundtrack for your life. So when you watch a movie that really inspires you, subconsciously you're inspired because of the inspiring music. Try watching that same movie without music. It's dull. So what I want you to do is I want you to listen to inspiring music while you study. And so for me, there's a handful of soundtracks I've listened to over and over and over again. Back in the 80s, I am dating myself. I had a little tape, a Sony Walkman, which is where we played music. And it had auto reverse, which a lot of people never know what it means, which really dated me there. but I would listen to Randy Newman's album, which is the soundtrack for the movie The Natural, which with Robert Redford. And that really, really motivated me and inspired me as well. And every time I see a movie that really inspires me, I get the soundtrack and I listen to it while I work. Whistle while you work, so to speak. Now, I don't do anything that has words in it, or English words at least, because that way I can't really focus. Unless it's something that's a little bit opera-ish based or choir based, like Empire of the Sun, which is probably the most underrated Steven Spielberg movie ever, which I absolutely loved, and the soundtrack was better. Or I'll listen to Enya, a lot of Enya, because she sings in Gaelic, which is a wonderful Irish dialect, which I don't understand. That's a good thing, because it won't distract me as much. But other albums I love include the soundtrack for Blade Runner, the first one. Vangelis, he's brilliant. He also did Chariots of Fire, which is inspiring. In Interstellar and anything Hans Zimmer makes. Anything Hans Zimmer touches is gold to me. Yeah. Oh, and the soundtrack for the movie Up, the Pixar movie. I like that one as well. And so that helps me do stuff that I'm not really that passionate about. And also, I spoil myself with coffee. Like I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. So for me, my drug of choice, so to speak, is coffee. And I only drink one per day. And I biohack a lot as well. And when you biohack, you get to figure out, and we're all a little bit different. But you kind of figure out what drives you and what doesn't. I'll get to these in a second. But I drink 1 cup of coffee a day in this thing here. In this thing here, by the way, it's an Ember cup, and it keeps it just at 139 or 140 degrees, which is perfect. And I have this because and I don't recommend you get it. There's cheaper knockoff versions that are better. But I have this because it forces me to drink less coffee. Why? Because it keeps it at the right temperature. I found that when I was drinking coffee, whenever it got lukewarm, I kind of finish it and get another cup. But this is just 1 cup. That's all I have. And it helps me too with my throat when I teach, because I talk a lot, too much. And inside this thing, I put, it's bulletproof coffee. I've talked about it before on other webcasts, but it gives me this, and maybe there's a placebo effect as well, to be intellectually honest, but it gives me this insane ability to create and be passionate as well. And I've been doing bulletproof every day, bulletproof coffee, since 2015. It helps me. It might not help everybody. And if you do it, please do your research, because the MCT oil you put in, like coconut oil, can hurt your stomach if you put too much in. So that's how I spoil myself when I'm doing any task that I'm not that passionate about. So music, diet, and I also consume the right things. So I find that when I overeat, I get tired. So I only eat when I'm a little bit hungry. And so I bought this NutriBullet blender thing. And my latest thing is this. There's every greatest hit of antioxidants are in here. Kale, raw ginger root, tons of stuff. And I only eat when I'm hungry, because if you eat a little bit too much, you get tired, which hurts your performance when you're working, studying, etc. And a lot of chefs are not overweight, right? It's just, the whole stereotype of the Dom DeLuise type of chef being overweight is kind of passé. A lot of celebrity chefs are in great shape. And the reason why a lot of chefs are in great shape is because they don't sit down to eat during the day, but they eat a gazillion small meals. So when they're chopping up stuff, they'll sample it and keep moving around, but they don't sit down for a big meal. Therefore, they're just feeding their body the right amount. They don't overfeed it. And last thing I'll talk about is I biohack when it comes to vitamins as well. And these are just some of the many ones I take. Again, do your own research first. But I feel like we're all deficient in certain vitamins. We don't know what they are. But if you blast your body with 100% of the daily recommended amount, then it's like that movie Minority Report with Tom Cruise, where they figured out the pre-crime group, people that are going to create or do crimes. This is like the pre-crime group for health stuff. This will destroy diseases I'm going to get or might be getting. And what you have to do is you have to ask your relatives and your parents, your aunts, uncles, etc., what health issues they have, because you might get them. However, you might not get them if you plan appropriately ahead of time. For example, I had my DNA sequence years ago, and they said there's like close to a 50% probability that I'm going to get AMD, which is age-related macular degeneration, which means my eyesight goes down. And I asked my mom about it, and she said, "Oh my goodness, your grandfather had that in his 60s." And so I went to my eye doctor, and my eyes were fine, whatever. But he told me to take this relatively benign organic zinc substance, which I take. It's not right here, but I do take it. And so I'll show you what I take here. So I take a bunch of herbs and stuff. This is only part of it. So this here is called Daily Advantage. It's by this guy named Dr. David Williams. If you're going to buy this stuff online, do your own research, talk to your doctor, all that stuff. But make sure you search for coupons or install the Honey app in your browser. You'll save a fortune. Never pay full price for any of this stuff. Never pay full price for my courses either. So this here is called Daily Advantage. So I'll take this throughout the day. This here is, there's this guy named Ray Kurzweil. And Ray is the head of engineering at Google. And Ray is actually, he really believes in life extension. And I take his product as well. It's Ray and Terry's, I can't remember the name of the product, but I take it. There's resveratrol in here, which is in red wine, which can slow down aging. You can't reverse aging, but you can slow it down. You know, the best thing I can recommend, aside from food, is to put on SPF 30 with your morning cream, whatever it is. So I put on Neutrogena every day on my face with SPF 30 in it. It's just face cream for guys. And a lot of women that are older look younger than men. And one of the reasons is because they wore makeup their whole life. And makeup actually has SPF in it, which is interesting. So you can't reverse aging, but you can slow it down with diets. So I take care of myself with this stuff and a lot of other stuff as well, which really helps me to be productive. Yeah. And then next up is, but Karthik, one more thing I'll say about, you mentioned finance. So I got a D in accounting when I took it for the first time at McGill University years ago. And I thought my life was over. But I got a D because I was memorizing accounting. I wasn't understanding it. You can't memorize stuff. You got to understand it. Like when you're in high school, you can do well if you memorize stuff. But when you get to university or the real world, you start working. It's not about memorizing. It's about understanding. So I want you to understand finance. And, you know, enjoy reading financial statements like a good book. And I'd love to have you join me in my MBA degree program because I teach finance and accounting in a differentiated way with a lot of different blocks and scales. And I went all out and actually electrocuted myself in one lecture, which was funny. We didn't cut that. Yeah. Ramon is saying, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chris. Hey, Ramon, how are you? I hope everyone is safe in your houses. We're great. Thank you. Thank you. Christos retracted his message. I'm smiling because I'm thinking of my wife's late great uncle Christos, who lived in northern Israel in Haifa, and he had Abu Christos, the name of his Greek restaurant there. We went there a couple of years ago. It was great. We miss Christos. Yeah. Greek food is the best. And Forgio is saying, Chris, sorry, off topic. Just curious. In your opinion, who is Jesus Christ? And what is your opinion on religion and especially Christianity? Yeah. So I'm Catholic. I'm quite religious. Every day when I wake up, before I get out of bed, I do two things. Number one, I thank God for 10 different things in this order. Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, those are my kids. Christine, my wife. Mom, Dad, my mom and dad. Jamie, Katie, Elizabeth, those are my brothers and sisters. And my students, you. So that's what I do. And then what I do is I read a chapter from religious text. And the Old Testament is the basis for a lot of great religions in the world. Yeah. So I do that. And that gets me it kind of puts things in perspective for me. And like when I don't stress out about business or career stuff because I always tell myself, God already knows what's going to happen. And that puts me at ease. All right. Vikas is saying, hey, Chris, I want to take your MBA course. I don't have any degrees. Do I need any specialization for your MBA? No, not at all. Not at all. You don't even need a high school degree to get in. It's I'm trying to make it available to everybody, right? So if you go to my website, then go to MBA program, and then you go to FAQ here. You can read through them here. Or actually, better yet, if you want, I have the FAQs here, but you can also look at the FAQs in the course, which I'll show you in a second. All right, so just go through here. Oh, and by the way, if you took any of my courses on Udemy and you finished them and you got certificate of completion, you could send them in to me before you apply. And then you get $10 off for each one of my courses you've taken. So if you've taken all my courses, you get $260 off, which is a 54% discount on the sticker price of $499. Holy infomercial, Chris. All right. Hold on a second. Let me scroll down. What are the prerequisites? It should be in here. Let me do. No, here it is here. Do I need a university degree to apply? No, you don't even need a high school degree. If you already have an MBA, you're also welcome to apply. And we actually have a lot of MBA students, or people that have MBAs from great schools that are in my program right now. And some of them told me they're learning a hell of a lot more from my program, humbly, than from their MBAs. Yeah. So you can read through all the stuff here, or if you want, just go to my homepage, Haroun, education.com, and then click here and enroll today and just read through all the stuff here. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I've also got customer testimonials. So I have a lot of my MBA degree students, they're in my class right now, wrote testimonials. So here's one from India. Keely's awesome. Here's one from Germany. Vital, he's family. They're all family. I love them. Eric from the Netherlands. We got San from Pakistan. We got Jason from Australia, although he's living in Florida now with his wife. We got Lamarck, who's from the Philippines, and he and his wife, actually, I met with them about a month ago. They were here on vacation in the States, and they can't go back to the Philippines because of this awful crisis. But he's a good dude. So is his wife. And then here's Kevin, who's real. I love him. Apurva, who's on the East Coast of the United States, originally from India. And then we got Fanny as well. So you can go here and read all these if you want to. Again, the way to get there is just go to my website, HarounEducation.com, and then just click here. Yeah. And there's a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. So it's a good deal. And it's been a lot of fun to make as well. Oh, and I also, I want to show you guys a new feature, what I added. What I did, and you can actually see just some of the sample videos here, is I paid for advanced closed captions to be added to every single lecture. So I'll show you what that means. Let me scroll down to show you a sample. Preview here. So let me click play, and it's on mute right now. But if you go here, actually, I'm gonna have to get rid of my face in there. Oh no, I am off it. Okay, good. Now, if you click here on closed captions, like you can actually search every lecture. So if I go full screen here and I go here to closed caption and I turn them on. So here, what I can do is not only do you have closed captions there, but you can go search video and you can search for, I don't know, any word, the word confidence, whatever. And anytime you see it, you can click on that instance right here and it jumps, watch what happens. It jumps to that point directly in the video. So everything is completely indexed. It's the most accessible MBA program on the market. You can take this, by the way, on a cell phone. You can take it on a tablet. You can take it on a desktop, a laptop. It's accessible to everybody. Yeah. And we've had a lot of fun making it. Yeah. Okay. And then Gregory's, and by the way, there are some people that want to join the platinum and silver, platinum and gold version, which starts this December. You could still take the $500 silver version, and you know when you start the platinum and gold version, I'll knock off $500 from tuition there. Yeah. Okay. And then Gregory's saying, Chris, what do you think of this motto? See the situation as it is and not worse. Yeah, I like it. I like it. And I used to work for somebody in the hedge fund industry who said to me something which really resonated with me when I was investing. He said, Chris, always know that things are never as bad as they seem and never as good as they seem. And the second part of that, I didn't really agree with initially because I'm not just a glass half full guy. My cup overfloweth always. I'm positive. But I think that's a great way to be, because what he was basically telling me, my boss in the hedge fund industry years ago at Citadel, he was basically telling me that, Chris, things are never as good as they seem, never as bad as they seem, which means keep emotions out. Be unemotional when investing. Hey, Solly in the house. Solly is one of my awesome MBA degree students. He lives in Lithuania. He's got the most positive attitude anybody's ever seen, ever, in his apartment. And we've done a lot of Zoom calls in my MBA degree program. He's got quotes all over the wall on Post-it notes, and it's awesome. And every time I see him, I light up like Tweety Bird, and I become more positive. So, Solly, thank you for your presence. Even being here is lighting me up. Thank you. And Ritesh is saying, hey, Chris, I've been in between doing IT consulting jobs with Big Five in some of my own businesses. I want to get into an MBA program at an Ivy League. I'm an Indian IT male, 35 years old, and there's a lot of competition. Yeah. So if you're interested, you can go to udemy.com, and I have a course which you can buy there, which is called How to Get into the Top MBA Schools. It's only half an hour long, but it'll help you out. Yeah. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you come across as different and unique, because the admissions body, what they do is they want to have a very diverse international, student body with different skill sets from different walks of life, different industries. So, for example, in my MBA degree program, my platinum students that are doing the 1-year program that started on December 2nd of last year, my 158 students, and 2 of them asked for their money back. So there was 160 at first. They got 100% back. But my 158 students are from 41 different countries and from all walks of life. And so for you, what I recommend also doing is going to my website and read the book that you can get on my homepage at Haroun Education. And that free book is called How to Network, and that will help you as well with your MBA school application. Yeah. But just know that you don't need to get an MBA from a top school, to be successful. All you need is to be able to network aggressively. It's true. And Vikas is saying, behind every person's success, there is always a hand of a woman. What do you think about this statement? I think it's right, but I also think behind every woman there's a man as well. I think that as a husband and wife, you're a team. And for me, for example, Christine, who's my spouse and my shrink, she's not a licensed shrink, but she helps me a lot out in business, right? And it's just great to have a life partner you can ask questions to all the time. So. I believe in marriage, and I believe people get divorced and sometimes they get upset because the spouse gets half. Well, they deserve half, because when you started that company, they basically sacrificed a lot for you, and they helped you a lot as well. Yeah. And Avijit is saying, hey, Chris, hope all is well. What are your thoughts on network marketing? Do you think it's a viable business model? I don't know what that means, actually, network marketing. Sorry. Yeah. If you want, let me know what it means. Yeah. Let me know what it means. And Vikas is saying, please place a window of chat so we can also see questions side by side. Okay. I'll show you where we are. How's that? So I will highlight your question here. This is yours here. Yeah. And what I do is I pop out chat. Right? So you can go here and just pop out the chat. You can do the same if you want to as well. Your call. All right. And Sudeep is saying, are MBA programs in Udemy and your website the same? No. So on Udemy, I have a course called an entire MBA in one course. It's 8 hours long. The one on my website, which I just launched, is 300 hours long. Yeah. And there's different versions of it. Like you can get access to me as well, one-on-one meetings, in group projects and all that stuff. Yeah. But you can go to my website and then go to the MBA Degree Program, drop down and read the FAQ. Yeah. All right. Next up is Saad is saying, what are the best books for understanding and identifying creative accounting used by companies? Yeah. There's one book that I recommend. It's called Financial Shenanigans. It's written by a brilliant man named Howard Shillett. And he used to have this great company that I subscribed to. I actually paid him a lot when I was working at various hedge funds because he did forensic accounting. Again, it's called Financial Shenanigans, and it's by Howard Shillett. Gregory is saying, Chris, what will I find in your MBA that's not already in an academic MBA? Yeah. So most MBA degree programs, almost all of them, don't teach you the most important things in life, like how to network, how to interview, how to present, how to get a job, how to sell, how to create an amazing business plan, how to read financial statements in a fun way, like a good book, how to start a business. So when I graduated, you'd think we all knew, and all of us MBA graduates, that we knew how to start a business. They don't teach you that. They teach you a lot of theoretical stuff you can't use in the real world, like supply and demand graphs, which I guess is useful if you want to work for the Bank of England or the MOF in some countries, or the Bank of Canada, or the Treasury, or whatever in the United States. But they don't teach you practical stuff. And everything I teach is very practical. I give you a gazillion templates of everything for financial models, how to present, templates for interviewing, tons of stuff, so that I arm you with an insane amount of tools in your arsenal, so to speak, so you can hit the ground running when you're working for somebody else or when starting your own company. Yeah. Next up is a tool saying, Chris, do you think that through your MBA degree program, we can get placements and packages as good as those at the top business schools do? I will teach you how to network better than anybody at other business schools. I'll teach you how to interview better than anybody at other business schools. I'll teach you how to present better than anybody at other business schools. I'll teach you how to write a business plan from scratch better than anybody at any business school. These are skills they don't teach you in business school. I'm very competitive when it comes to helping my students. I will walk through walls for you. I'll do whatever it takes, or your money back. 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. You've got nothing to lose. And Saad is saying, I'm following Carson Block, a short seller who does amazing analysis of various companies. Could you recommend some good reading material for enhancing my financial analysis skills? Yeah. So I mentioned a second ago for another student on a great finance book to buy. It's called Financial Shenanigans. And it's written by Howard Shillett. I recommend that book because when I worked in the hedge fund industry, a lot of the shorts I did that were based on forensic accounting and doing deep dives into financial models was based on stuff I learned from Howard in that book. Ramon is saying, regarding the TAM, SAM, and SOM, are the segmentations definite under certain parameters or guidelines, or are those all relative? Can you please share more about this? Yeah. So what Ramon is referring to is the size of the addressable market. So you never want to start a company that operates in a tiny market, because if you get 100% share, which is almost impossible, but if you do, you get 100% share of a tiny market. You always want to start a company that's in a massive market. Now, the confusion can be sometimes that what if the market doesn't exist yet? It does. It just exists in different forms. So I'll give you an example. When Uber was founded and Lyft, there was no online taxi market. So you might say, well, the total addressable market is zero. It's not. The total addressable market was the old school taxi market, which has existed for decades. So whatever company is you're starting, if you think the market doesn't exist yet, it does. Just think of the incumbents or the old school companies or old school industries that you're significantly disrupting. For example, when Larry and Sergey launched Google towards the end of 1998, the size of the market wasn't that big yet for search. Yeah, you had Yahoo, Alta Vista, InfoSeek and all these others, Ask Jeeves, whatever. But they looked out longer term and they thought, well, the size of our market is actually classified advertising in newspapers or radio advertising or television advertising. So they thought longer term that the market was much, much bigger because of that. Yeah. Sudeep is saying, how do you switch your career from consultancy services to a hedge fund? It all comes down to networking. It all comes down to networking. And that's how I did it as well. So you can learn about networking for free. Just go to my website, go to HarounEducation.com. And if you scroll down, you can get my networking book for free right here. It's over 200 pages plus a couple hours of videos. And it'll teach you everything you need to know to network to get that coveted job at a hedge fund. Yeah. And as you read through it, again, it's free, and you have questions, please let me know. And if you want, take my MBA degree program because I will, I'll walk through walls for you and help you make your resume and LinkedIn profile better than anybody's you've seen, which will help you tremendously when you're trying to network to get out of the consulting industry and into the hedge fund industry. And I'll teach you also how to make write-ups for shorting stocks so that when you do get that informational interview at a hedge fund, you nail it and enjoy the process. Hi, Chris. What suggestions would you like to give to a business startup youth? What things to do and what not to do in initial business startup? Thanks. Yeah. So I would say the most important thing is failing to plan is planning to fail. And a lot of companies, most companies go belly up. They don't make it because they didn't plan accordingly. You know, most people don't write a business plan, which is moronic. So you can take one of my courses if you want, or sign up for my MBA degree program because I'll teach you how to create an incredible business plan from scratch. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Okay. Next question is from Jordy. And Jordy, hold on 1 second. Okay, I'm just going to check, see if there's any complaints about audio or video. You think 86 weeks in, there'd be no complaints. Okay, no complaints. Good. I still make mistakes. We always try to push the goalpost out. I've got pedals down here. I got a new set of pedals, actually. I've got 3 pedals down here below me. So I've got, I click it, and by the way, a pedal, it's just, when you order these things, it's just like a keyboard. You plug it into your USB port in your computer. And you map keys, right? So this here, I map the left key. This one, I map the center key. This one, I map the right key. And I have more pedals coming in for this additional camera here that I have to actually click through myself to get it to work. Yeah. And if anybody has questions about technology, let me know as well. I'm happy to help out. And for my MBA degree students, I'm teaching them all how to create a really cool setup like this on a budget as well. You know, this is that's my oldest camera. It's from 2012. It's an old DSLR, but it works great, and it's on a slider as well. Yeah, and I think it's important to set up a great backdrop if you can as well. And it's all cheap. Like this is an $8 floor. It looks like wood paneling. It's not. I got it from Home Depot, a big hardware store here in America. But I think it's important to set up a great backdrop, and anybody can do it. And the reason why it's important is because the new digital reality is that we're going to be working many more hours from home. And you never get that second chance to make a great first impression. And so I'm coaching all my MBA degree students on how to do this at their homes as well. Yeah, I'm a Blue Jays fan as well. That's from the first game, the first Blue Jay game ever, back in 1977. Yeah, tickets were really, really big back then. And Jordy is asking, how would you go about starting a business in the finance industry without having many contacts? Yeah. So what I would say is there's nothing wrong with that. I think that to be successful in the finance industry, it depends what your business model is. If you're trying to raise a lot of money, it makes sense to have a lot of contacts. But you can learn networking skills at any age, at any point in your career. And the best way to learn networking skills is go to my website, HarounEducation.com, and download my networking book for free. It'll teach you how to network. But just remember that relationships are more important than product knowledge. And most people that work in the finance industry are actually in sales. Yeah. And my networking book, which is free, will help you learn those skills as well. Okay. And Vikas is saying, please do a book review of your book. And also, please change the cover of the networking book. It seems like a PLR product. I hate PLR products. I don't know what PLR product is. Okay. Next up is Joe is saying, good morning, Chris. Good morning, Joe. Hope you're well, buddy. Any insight into PWM, which stands for Private Wealth Management? It was not exhaustively covered in the Complete Financial Analyst course. Yeah. So PWN, it stands for Private Wealth Management. And it's basically means being a stockbroker for very rich people. That's it. That's it. And so private wealth management, all big companies, all big investment banks have PWM departments, private wealth management departments. And what they do is they are all given different territories and they try to manage as much money as they can because they take like a 1% fee every year from the assets they manage, the AUM, assets under management. And what they'll do is they will advise their high net worth clients on what stocks, bonds, commodities, REITs, etc. to invest in to help them diversify their portfolio. Now, some PWM employees at big investment banks are biased because they're only allowed to sell that investment bank's products. At other investment banks, and they're all different, you can sell any products you want. And the beauty of working in PWM is it's a very portable financial skill because you can actually leave any investment bank and take your clients with you. It happens all the time, all the time. You know, so for example, when I was at Goldman Sachs, there's a guy named Jordan Waxman. I'll never forget. Actually, I haven't thought of this guy since '98. So it's in July of 1998, I interviewed with Jordan Waxman. He was one of the many people that interviewed at Goldman, and he worked in private wealth management. And I think he's probably left a couple times and gone to different firms. Let's check it out. Blast from the past. I met him once. So Jordan Waxman. He worked in private wealth management. And we are connected. Cool. All right, here he is. Hey, Jordan. So he worked, let me see here, experience. Whoa, lots of experience. Here it is. Yeah. So he was he worked in private wealth management at Goldman Sachs. Make sure we're recording good. At Goldman Sachs back when I interviewed with him. Private banking, private wealth management, same thing. Then he left and he took, I guess, some of his clients or whatever, maybe, to Merrill Lynch. And he worked there for 10 years. Then that's board of directors. That's not, okay, hold on. That's board of directors, different. Oh, good. He's teaching at McGill now. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but he left Goldman to go to Merrill Lynch. You can go anywhere you want and take your clients with you usually. So that's a positive thing about working in PWM. Yeah. The negatives are that, you know, a lot of times you're a salesperson. And, you know, if you recommend certain stocks or investments that don't do well, your clients get really upset with you. But it's all about relationships. It's the quintessential sales role. And it's all about asset gathering as well, because you take a 1% fee roughly every year. Yeah. And make sure if you do it that you go to an investment bank or a private wealth management firm where you can sell any type of products you want. And you're not just biased to sell the products of that financial services company. Yeah. Next question is, how is the net worth of e-commerce or online business calculated? Okay, so I guess this question could also be worded as, what is the total addressable market of any company or any online company? So what you do, the way to find the total addressable market or market size for any industry, including online industries, is the quick and dirty way to do it is do a search to see if consulting firms have created reports like McKinsey on a certain market. Or what you can do is if you can't find consulting reports that give you the total addressable market, what you can do then is you can get the top 25 companies in the world that do that thing, okay, that work in that market, whatever market that is. And then you can add up the total revenue for all 25 companies in a given year. And that's a good enough, not perfect, but good enough proxy for the size of that market. Because usually, especially with online, usually it's just a handful of companies that dominate a market, like in search. Like you could probably name 3 and the rest are just not relevant. You know, there's Google, Yahoo, and Bing if you work at Microsoft, and then the rest, whatever. So if you do get the top 25, it's a pretty good proxy for the size of the market. And Gregory's saying, great new camera angle. Thanks, dude. Thanks. Just trying something a little bit different here. And to be intellectually honest, as always, and transparent, which I always am, I think. I had to clean everything up. Like the floor looks kind of neat. You guys have no idea. I pushed all the crap over there. You just can't see it now. Yeah. Next question is from Sudeep, who's saying, how long do you think the recession due to the coronavirus will last? I don't know. I just don't know. So a recession is defined as 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. So I think it's going to be, if that's a technical definition, then I think the recession will last no more than a year. And the reason I say that is because economic activity has been hit so hard in so many countries that this current quarter and next quarter, the year-over-year GDP growth is going to be massively negative. And then next year, the year-over-year comparisons will be easier. So you'll see growth off a much lower base. Yeah. What tools do you use for financial analysis apart from Excel to enhance your productivity? That's it. I just use my brain. That's it. You know, I basically apply decades of experience I've had in the hedge fund industry, venture capital industry, et cetera, starting companies. That's it. Yeah. There's no rule book for it. So that's what I do. Yeah. Okay. Vikas is saying, stupid people go to colleges, smart people own them. And you wrote, what do you think of this? No, I don't think, I don't agree. I don't agree. I think education is a wonderful thing. Yeah, I think education can fix every problem in the world. And if you want to know my thesis, and thank you for the question, but if you want to know my thesis about that, please just do a search on my TED Talk I gave years ago. And the title was T Can Fix All Problems in the World. And T stands for technology, education, and acceptance. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't think you have to go to a bricks and mortar university anymore to be successful. I don't think you need a degree. I don't. You know, and you want proof of that, Google, IBM, Wells Fargo, Apple, Facebook, and many more companies do not require a college degree to get a job there anymore. You know, people are starting to understand the system is rigged. It's, you know, the affluent are able to send their kids to college, which is totally bogus. It's not fair. You know, people bribe admissions directors, which is what we saw with Felicity Huffman, who served time in jail because of it at USC. So I think that education, it's at least in universities, is outdated. I mean, you go to university, you pay $100,000 for a 4-year degree in some countries. And that basically means 13 hours of class a week. That's it. And you end up graduating not really knowing any skills to use in the real world if it's an undergraduate degree. So I think the model is broken. I definitely do. Yeah. Hey, Himanshu, how are you? I like your icon. And there's actually, I mentor, when I was at Accenture, we were supposed to mentor, just help people, whatever. And I actually got the award, I'm humble to say, and I still have the award somewhere. It's this nice crystal thing, whatever, for being the best mentor at Accenture in Canada in 1998 or 97, whenever it was. And I mentioned it because Himanshu, which is the same name as you, there was this guy, he was Indian by birth, but he lived in the Soviet Union his entire life. And then he was one of the many people I mentored. Just really nice guy. Yeah. From the Toronto office at Etobicoke, office at Accenture as well. And then he actually ended up working with me on the merger of Nations Bank and Bank of America in the Carolinas back in, I think it was 96, 97. Yeah. And Saud is saying, what are the best resources you recommend to understand IFRS as a financial analyst? Yeah. Yeah. So I think that, like, just take my finance courses on Udemy, or join me in my MBA degree program, which you can go to Haroun Education to learn more about. Or if you want to do a really deep dive, then take the CFA, which stands for Certified Financial Analyst designation. It's a 3-year program where you just study at night and write 3 tests during the evenings. And if you're going to do that, they recommend you spend a fortune on textbooks. Don't do that. Go to eBay and you can buy books for less than $50 that summarize everything you need to know the smart way. Work smarter, not harder. And the books are by a company called Schweizer, which is owned by Kaplan, which is owned by the Washington Post, which is owned by Jeff Bezos. Yeah. But the CFA is something I really respect. Yeah. And Evans25 is writing, hi, Chris. Hey, man. I just finished your complete financial analyst course, and I'm interested in your hedge and mutual fund course. However, I'm worried the course content will overlap. Can you advise? Yeah, don't take it. Don't take my hedge fund and mutual fund course because the complete financial analyst course is more encompassing and covers some of those topics. Yeah. Thank you, though. But you can sign up if you want for my MBA degree program, where I do a much deeper dive in finance and the hedge fund industry and mutual funds and everything. And you can go to Haroun Education to learn more. Yeah. Majoko is saying, hey, Chris. Hey, how are you? Question from Himanshu. I think that artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things, if not used ethically, will be a proven greedy digital weapon by any entity that could force its customers to buy their unwanted products and services. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, there is I think Facebook is a great example of using AI as a weapon. And it definitely is a weapon. You know, what Facebook has done with Cambridge Analytics is incredibly unethical. And you all know about this. It helped to rig a certain big election, which you all know about. So I think that's pretty evil. And I think what Facebook does also is, I really think they hurt America and the world. And the reason is because if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican and use Facebook, Facebook will figure out with a pretty good high degree of probability, if you post a lot, which one you are. And then Facebook will make sure that you only get ads that are targeted at Republicans if you're a Republican, and vice versa if you're a Democrat. And so what happens is you got the bifurcation of society. You become more Democrat or more Republican, more Democrat, and America's at odds now. So I think that Facebook is a catalyst for magnifying and widening our differences instead of bridging the gaps. I think it's evil. And if you get a chance, do a search, please, on Sacha Baron Cohen. And he gave this great speech where he talks about the Internet 6. It's a brilliant speech, and I completely agree with him. Yeah. But I think that the bottom line is that AI, if taken out of context, can be quite evil. Yeah. And a lot of big companies and government agencies use AI a lot for competitive reasons. And there's beautiful things that can come out of AI. Like, I used to be an investor in the biggest employer in Palo Alto, which is a company called Palantir. And Palantir makes AI software. Metropolis and Gotham are the names of their 2 flagship products. And we all know where they got that from. Bring Batman over here for inspiration for this one. Yeah. And Palantir actually was the company that the Obama administration used to analyze data and AI to find Osama bin Laden. And had the Obama administration not used Palantir software, they would not have found Osama bin Laden when they did. And Palantir software, and I used to be an investor, I sold my stake. It's still private, but when I used to work in the venture capital industry, I owned part of it. But the Palantir also helps governments solve problems like human trafficking. And Palantir helps a lot of big banks as well with cybersecurity issues, which is obviously a great thing. It's a great thing. I respect that company. However, yes, companies can use AI to the detriment of society. Yeah. Like there was just to be intellectually honest and show you the other side, there was an article, I think it was in Forbes years ago, where Palantir, somebody was using Palantir software. I think maybe it was the Oakland Police Force to take pictures of license plates in certain neighborhoods. So there's got to be a fine line at some point when it comes to AI helping versus hurting us. And we've seen the death of distance and the death of privacy because of the internet, because of AI. And I love the European Union because they really fight hard for privacy rules. And the EU kind of puts a lot of big tech companies in check as well. Like they wanted to break up Microsoft years ago because of their competitive tactics versus Netscape, which forced Microsoft to unbundle Internet Explorer in some versions of Windows that you purchased in Europe. But the EU also makes sure that privacy is protected, especially in Germany. Like in Germany, there's great influence, a beautiful thing on privacy. And it's because of them, the EU in general, that when you go to Google Earth or Google Maps or Apple Maps, you don't see license plates or people's faces. They're blurred out. They're blurred out, yeah. But I do believe that, and I'm worried that some AI companies are going to get too much control. For a perverse, I guess, final end result on what could happen to us. There's a brilliant man named Bill Joy, and he was one of the co-founders of Sun Microsystems, which Oracle now owns. But in the summer of 2000, when I was on my honeymoon, I remember this well. I was actually in Bali. On the cover of Wired magazine was Bill Joy. And Bill Joy was talking about what the world could become if computers get too much control. So go back and reread that cover story because it does talk about a lot of the evils that artificial intelligence and computers having too much power can do to the world. And I believe, and Elon Musk actually talks about this a lot as well. I really do believe it. And my gut is that it's only a matter of time until automated computer systems end up doing a lot of damage to all of us. And when that happens, and happens it will, I think at that point in the future, the EU will crack down on AI. And the same thing with IoT. Like IoT or Internet of Things, which means basically hardware devices or devices connecting your house to the internet. They can make it, it's much more convenient in our lives now because of IoT. However, everything is being recorded. And I do trust Amazon and I do trust Apple. But if somebody were to hack into Alexa, it could be terrifying. Alexa, what am I thinking? Alexa, what time is it?
It's 10:08 a.m.
Okay. Scary. But all this stuff is recorded. And like sometimes I'll be talking and I won't even say the word SIRI. And my watch under here, my Apple Watch or my iPhone will start talking to me. I do trust Apple, but it's only a matter of time until we hear about reports of somebody listening in. Or with our cameras. Like I recommend that all of you on your webcams, and I have this on my computers, you get one of those webcam blockers or put a piece of tape on it. And the same thing with these things. Like it really is only a matter of time until we hear about stories where, governments or criminals, whatever, put them in the same camp there, sorry, sort of. Actually, I'm not. But it's only a matter of time until we hear stories of cameras here actually watching us and getting pictures out there on the internet and somebody, I don't know, trying to blackmail us or whatever it is. Ransomware. It's frightening. It's frightening. So I think in the future, people are going to get iPhone cases that come with a little blocker as well for here and for the back for the cameras. Yeah. But just we got to be mindful and keep these big technology companies in check if they take away all of our privacy, so to speak. Yeah. Hey, Ellen, how are you? All right. And Saud is saying, what do you think about career prospects for corporate bankers / credit risk analysts, auditors, financial advisors in Canada? What about the career prospects for dentists in Canada? Yeah, it sounds like you're thinking about a bunch of different potential. Get Batman to stand up there. Yeah, a couple of different potential lines of work to go into. I would just say whatever you're most passionate about, whatever you enjoy the most, is what you should do. That's what I would say in general. I don't really have any thoughts on dentists right now, and I feel really bad for dentists at this point because obviously with this COVID issue, their business is really getting hurt. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. Yeah, but when it comes to finance in general, I'd say the biggest finance job that is at risk to be disintermediated by technology is trading, which a lot of hedge funds now just call execution. You can get computers to do that. Yeah. Okay. And Kundan is saying, can you please tell us about options and derivatives? Yeah, sure. So what options are basically instruments where you can make money or lose money based on the rate of change of stocks or different asset classes like commodities, etc. And just think about calculus. This is the only time calculus might come in a little bit handy, which you learn in high school. Calculus is all about derivatives, meaning the rate of change. And that's why they call the options market derivatives. It's all about the rate of change. And so you can buy what's called a call or a put. And just like you buy a stock and you make money if it goes up, that's the same thing with a call. A call is a derivative instrument where you make money if the stock goes up. And so a call basically means this. You pay a small amount of money, and if a stock goes above a certain price in a certain amount of time, you can make a lot of money. But the most you can lose if the stock goes down is this amount. A put is the opposite of that. It's also a derivative instrument, meaning an option, same thing. A put means if you think a stock is going to go down, you can bet this much money, it's going to go down. And if it goes down below a certain price, which people call the strike price, within a certain amount of time, you can make a lot of money. But if the stock goes up, all you lose is this amount here. And you can do derivative instruments or calls and puts, so to speak, on different asset classes as well. You know, not just stocks, but with bonds as well as with commodities. Yeah. And Vikas is saying many countries like the United States, Pakistan, are demanding hydrochloroquine. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. From India, as India has low number of cases. And then you wrote, what do you think about this? I don't know. I'm so sorry. I don't know what that means even. Yeah. I don't know what hydrochloroquine is. Sorry. Okay. Kunan is saying investment banking industry is sinking. And also hedge funds are winding up mostly as media information. So what do you think about the future of finance jobs? Like which financial industries will grow? Yeah. So most jobs in finance are sales jobs. It's true, they are. And so I don't think that technology is going to disintermediate or replace relationships or sales, because you can't have a relationship with a computer, at least not yet, unless you watch that movie with Joaquin Phoenix called Her, which is pretty cool, but out there. You can't have a relationship with a computer. A computer cannot replace human emotions and the ability to bond with another human being. And so I don't think that sales is going to be disintermediated or replaced by technology. I don't. I think that the roles that will be replaced by technology are anything that can be automated, especially trading. I think the role of the trader or sales trader will be replaced or continue to be augmented, I should say, by technology. But I don't think that sales or relationships can be replaced by technology. Yeah. Andrew Dupree in the house. How are you, Andrew? Great to have you. Thank you very much for that write-up you sent me as well. Short and sweet. It was great. It's perfect. Thank you. Thank you. And Andrew is he's the opposite of me. He's from America, but he lives in Canada. And I'm from Canada, but I live in America. And Andrew's a great guy, and he was actually the very first person accepted to my MBA degree program. He was student number 1. So thank you, Andrew, for that. And Andrew, along with one of my other amazing students, Jason. Jason's from Australia. They were the first ones to really influence me to be worried about this entire Corona thing many months ago, before anybody else, almost before anybody in the media in America mentioned it. So thank you for that, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah. And Aerofay is asking, hey, Chris, I'm a student at the University of Economy and Business Administration from Romania. And after I graduate, I will be an economist. Can you please suggest some careers that economists do? Yeah. So a lot of time economists, they end up working for governments. And their intention is to rise through the ranks and become the Minister of Finance, or the MOF in some countries, which is what they call it in Japan, for example. In Europe, they call it the ECB, the European Central Bank, so you can work there. In America, it's the Federal Reserve or the Department of Treasury. You could work as an economist there. And Ben Bernanke, who used to be the chairperson of the Federal Reserve, meaning the person in America in charge of increasing or decreasing interest rates. Ben Bernanke is a brilliant economist, and he actually did his PhD at Princeton University on the economics of depressions and recessions. And thank God he did. But he went on from studying economist stuff to becoming the head of the Federal Reserve in America. And so you can do the same as well. And in some countries, it's not called the Federal Reserve or the MOF. It's called the Bank of whatever. Like in Canada, it's called the Bank of Canada. And so those are government jobs you can look into. Aside from that, you don't have to work for a government agency. You can work in the private sector as well. So all investment banks, all the big ones, all over the world, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, UBS, Credit Suisse, Bank of America, et cetera, Deutsche Bank, they all have economists on the payroll. And the economists are basically people that work in equity research or fixed income research. And what they do is they try to predict what the economy is going to do. And there's a joke that 5 of the past 57 recessions were predicted by economists. It's a hard thing to do, man. It's a hard thing to predict. But when I worked at Goldman Sachs, there was a brilliant man named Jan Hotzius, who was a brilliant economist there as well. That advised a lot of clients at Goldman Sachs on what he thinks the economy will be like. And he was actually more often right than wrong. He's pretty good. It's pretty good, yeah. So the bottom line is you can work at a government agency to set policy, or you can work at an investment bank, or you can work at a big charitable or NGO, I guess, like the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund, for example. And Aerofay is writing, thanks, and I respect you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. And Anastasia is saying, hey, Chris, how are you? Likewise. I'm great. Hope you're well as well. And you wrote here, in your opinion, does the world need more highly skilled people with degrees or enthusiastic hands on experienced ones to help them go through the COVID time? Yeah. Well, I think at this point we need more people with medical degrees. And obviously, it's not going to happen overnight. But God bless doctors, man. What they've done, putting themselves on the front line, and many of them are already wealthy from their profession, but they're still risking their lives. And they don't have to, but they are. And God bless them. And I get goosebumps just thinking about, every day when doctor shifts are over. And in many countries, what people do, they're quarantined, is in big cities, when the doctors are walking home on the streets, they will all open up, all the people that are in their apartments, thousands of them, will open up the sliding glass door, go out on the balcony and just clap together, all together. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's kind of like when I used to live in Toronto, and there's a very large Italian population. And during the World Cup, whenever Italy scored a goal, if you live in Toronto and you just open the window, you can hear cheering everywhere. So that's the kind of cheering we have for doctors, and God bless them. God bless them for what they do. Yeah. Next up, Kunal saying, good morning, Chris. Hope you and your family are doing well. Likewise. Next question is from Himanshu, who's saying, is Zoom a safe platform? There's been some security vulnerabilities, and the founder and CEO of Zoom has apologized for those vulnerabilities that have apparently been plugged recently. But I don't think it's their fault. It's just they didn't really know that they were going to see this unprecedented demand for their product globally. And yes, it scales well, and the stock's done well. It's a great company. And I use Zoom a lot with my students, my MBA degree students, all the time. It's great. However, as with any camera you're using on the internet, you just have to be careful. Just know that there's a chance that somebody could be listening in. So when you're done with your Zoom call, make sure you shut down Zoom. It's kind of like with cryptocurrencies. With a cryptocurrency wallet, if you have a USB-based wallet that's connected to your computer, just don't leave it connected. Just unplug it just in case. Just in case. You never know. You never know. Yeah. And Juan David in the house. How are you? Juan David is one of my brilliant students. He's 17, from Venezuela originally. He wrote a best-selling book, which is called Generation Optimism, which I'm humbled to say that the Chicago Tribune and me, we wrote nice things about it on the back of the book. He's done 2 TEDx talks already. He's 17, a true Renaissance man. And Juan David is writing, hi, Chris, how are you doing? Edutaining Plate is great. Yeah, right there. And even better, the Blue Jays. Thanks. That's the first ticket from the very first game ever for the Blue Jays back in 1977. And I love it. And I love it because when I was a kid, I didn't know baseball was a business. It was everything for me, and it's the one thing that my brother and my father have in common is love for baseball. We always talk about it. Even now, we'll reminisce about old games. And I don't know if you can see up there, but in my man cave up in my attic, which I built myself, I made a lot of mistakes, but it was fun building it. I have all Blue Jays stuff up there, and that's from my man cave at the top of the ladder up in my attic, which I hacked apart and made somehow. Yeah, it was fun though. It was fun. Yeah. And of course, I got a great quote from, here it's reversed, from Michael Jordan, which is, I failed over and over and over again. And that's why I succeed. And Michael Jordan was actually cut from his high school basketball team too. And I've got another great quote here from the great Mark Twain, which you can read if you want to. Thank you. Okay, Kunal is saying, what is your take on The Intelligent Investor? Yeah, so it's a book written by Benjamin Graham. And Dodd, Graham and Dodd, and it's the Bible the authority, I should say, when it comes to value investing. It was written back in the 30s, I think, and Benjamin Graham was actually a professor at Columbia University, and it's the reason that Warren Buffett went to Columbia Business School. Now, I've read it. I think it's a great book to read and understand value investing, meaning buying cheap stocks. However, it is very dry. It is very, very dry. It's a great book, but it is dry. And so if you're going to read it, I would read it for the first hour of every day you wake up when you're really, really fresh. It's like reading George Sorrow's book, The Alchemist. It can be kind of tough. Or reading The Black Swan, or Fooled by Randomness by Taleb, or Blink by Taleb as well. There's just this cerebral intensity these people have when they write these books. So you kind of need to have a dictionary or thesaurus beside you when you read those books, especially by Taleb. Yeah. Okay. Thomas is saying, hi, Chris. I started a blog and would like to land guest posts in publications like Forbes. Can you share your journey on how you got featured in the media? Yeah. So I think so. I learned a lot from reading about Mark Benioff. And so Mark Benioff, he's the brilliant founder and wonderful humanitarian, but he's the founder of Salesforce.com, which is the largest employer here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And he wrote this book called Above the Clouds. And he talks about how he became successful And one of the ways he became successful was leveraging the media. And so Mark made friends with 50 of the top tech and financial journalists in the world. And controversy sells. And what he did was he started saying that software is dead back when nobody understood cloud computing in the early 2000s. And it was sales. It was great sales for him because it was controversial and media wanted to talk about it. It's kind of like Sir Richard Branson. You know, he's very controversial sometimes in a great way, in a tactful way. Like when Sir Richard Branson, who owns all the Virgin companies, Virgin Media, et cetera, Virgin Atlantic, when he started Virgin Cola, what he did was he rented a tank and drove into Times Square in the early 80s, declaring a war on Coca-Cola. Obviously, you can't do that today. But it was interesting. It was interesting. And of course, reporters would love to write a story about that sort of thing. And so read Mark Benioff's book, Above the Clouds, if you can. And for me, I've always tried to help people in business, whether they're journalists or people that are unemployed or people that have been arrested and are in jail for SEC stuff, insider trading. I've never done that bad stuff myself, but I've gone to visit them in jail because nobody else would, my friends. But if you help people, then eventually call it karma, call it karma synchronicity, call it what you will. And you do it for good reasons, just because you want to help, not because you want anything in return. But give and you'll receive. It's prophetic and it's been true since the beginning of time. And that's one of the reasons why I've gotten some media exposure as well. Plus, I've been always kind of controversial. Like I have a controversial opinion on a lot of things. Like when Microsoft bought Mojang, the parent company of Minecraft, I was out there saying that this is the most important acquisition Microsoft has done since MS-DOS. And so Wired Magazine let me write about that. And VentureBeat let me write there as well, which is the #1 venture capital publication. Because I said, whenever all the founders leave a company, investors must run for the exits. So it's kind of controversial, but it's my honest opinion. Yeah. So anyway, or I said Amazon Web Services is this generation's version of the Berlin Wall falling. It's interesting. It's interesting. So, but in general, give and you'll receive. It's again prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time, and just help journalists. And the way to meet a lot of journalists as well and get free publicity is what you can do is you can actually go to my website and download my book for free on networking. So you just go to HarounEducation.com and then just scroll down and you can get this book here, which will help you a lot. And network to meet with, based on what I teach you here in this free book, on getting meetings with journalists as well. And it's easy to network and get meetings with them. Just read the book. It's free. And I'll explain exactly how to do it. And just add value. Give. And for me, I could be, if I wanted to get more publicity for the MBA degree program, and I'm not that aggressive with it. My size of my company is pretty small. It's got a handful of employees. But what I could do is I could go on the talk show circuit if I wanted to. And I could say, I could declare war on MBAs. And I could say HBS, which is Harvard Business School. I could say 2/3 of HBS is BS. And somebody might want to write about that. I'm not going to do that because they might say, well, what about Haroun Business School, HBS? I'm like, no, it's a different business school. But I making fun of myself. But anyway, just try to add as much value as you can to reporters. Help them, and they'll help you. Yeah. It's kind of like whenever, but you got to do it from your heart. It's kind of like when headhunters used to call me. I would always say, thank you. What's the offer? I'll listen. But I'm happy with my job. Thank you, though. But here are some other people that I think might be interested. And I help the headhunters out a lot. Just because I want to help other people, whatever. And it always comes back to help me in the long run. So, in fact, most of my successes humbly in business have come because I've helped other people. Not because I wanted something in return, but I just wanted to help. Yeah. Next question is from Saud, who's saying, what are the various independent sources or reports to look at in various macroeconomic factors to consider while performing financial analysis, apart from those provided by government sources? Yeah. Yeah. It's tough, though, because, every macroeconomic, I don't know, every macroeconomic statistic I can think of is provided by governments, like the growth of GDP or consumer sentiments, unemployment claims, etc. It's, inflation statistics from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, BLS.org, or .gov, BLS.gov. I think it's all there. So I can't really think of any. Yeah. And then Melody's saying, hey, Melody, how are you? Melody is a wonderful teacher and a great human being from Atlanta. And she's creating a couple courses to teach online. She's writing a book. She's doing a lot of great things. And she's got the same camera I do, the Canon M50, right? That's your camera. I remember you showed us. It was October 31st when we did a 9.5-hour webcast around 4:30 p.m. that day, 2019. You were on the webcast as well. I remember that. And you're using your Canon M50. And your kids came on the call too. I remember that because it was Halloween and they were dressed in their Halloween costumes. It's great to have you. And so Melody said, hope you're well today. Likewise. Guess what? I created an LLC yesterday. Awesome. Started working on a website yesterday. Awesome. I love it. Congrats. It's exciting. Eh? It's exciting. That's fantastic. For those of you not familiar with an LLC, it's a limited liability corporation, which means that Melody's company is now registered so that in the unlikely event, God forbid, that anybody gets sued that has a company like this, their liabilities are limited. That's why it's called an LLC, limited liability company. Good for you. I'm happy for you. And you said here that the video editing is taking forever. I got like 80 vids. Oh, I love it. Enjoy it. And sometimes you can work smarter instead of working harder with video editing. Like you can download plugins that can, create lower thirds or fun animation. And they're like $20 or whatever, but you can plug them into Final Cut or Premiere Pro or whatever editing software you're using. Yeah. Enjoy it though. I love video editing. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Okay. Next question is, hope you and your family are well. I lost my job. I'm so sorry to hear that. It's been tough, man. Like 20 million Americans have lost their jobs in the past couple of weeks. That's terrifying. It's, and you wrote here, I have 6 months emergency budget because of you. Good. Excellent. Good. And you wrote here, can you elaborate more on fooled by randomness in foreign exchange, please? What could I do instead as short term? Thanks. Yeah. God bless you. And I'll keep you in my prayers. So fooled by randomness. And I'm going to talk about other ways to save money in a second for you. Okay. So fooled by randomness. It's a book by Nicholas Taleb, who's this brilliant Lebanese dude. I'm part Lebanese, so I can say that. And it's basically what he opines about or writes about is that if you're short-term focused and you're trying to trade, you'll never make money in the long run because you'll be fooled by randomness. Random stuff will happen. Like let's say you're short oil because you think that demand for oil is going to go down a lot because of coronavirus. And then all of a sudden one day, Riyadh and Moscow reach some sort of agreement when it comes to oil, and oil goes up 25%, a lot of short covering. It's random, and you get fooled by randomness. So you got to be very long-term when you invest, always. The longer the view, the wiser the intention is something Mr. Buffett says. Don't ever be short-term focused, because if you try to trade, and there's no such thing as a successful trader. Otherwise, we know their names. Who are they? They don't exist. They get burned eventually. They all get burnt. You have to be long-term focused. Always, always, always. The problem with trading is that every month has 20 trading days, 20 weekdays, and random stuff can always occur to make stocks go up or down. It's not based on fundamentals. I want you to be a fundamental long-term investor. Always, 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 if you can. Yeah. Now, instead of, and you wrote here, what could I do instead as short-term? Yeah, to make money. I would think about teaching online. It doesn't cost much money at all. You already have a phone that has a camera on it. And you can go to, I'll show you my courses you can take for free, actually. Like you can go to Udemy, and I publish a bunch of courses on how to teach online. So you go Udemy, Chris, Haroun, and you go here, and there's courses, and they always change the orders here. But just keep scrolling through, and you'll find courses I've made on 40 tips on how to teach a great online course. Based on 40 mistakes I've made. Again, they change the order around here sometimes. Here it is here. Good. Yeah. And I've done it in tons of different languages. It's free. So start with this one here. And what I'll do is I'll copy this link address for you. And I'll paste it down here. Hold on a second. So you can just click on it. There you go. And then there's foreign versions as well in a lot of different languages. And I have another one in here somewhere called Another 40 Tips. Here it is here. On making a great online course. And this is based on 40 mistakes I've made teaching online. So I give you 80 great tips for free on how to create an online course. And as Seth Godin said, you already have everything you need to build something bigger than yourself. Yeah, and it doesn't cost you really much money at all to do this from home. I teach you all the lighting and camera work and stuff as well in those courses. It's free. It's free. Yeah. Now, in terms of how to save more money, so what you can do, and what I do is this. Every couple months or so, print out or look at all of your credit cards receipts, all your credit card transaction reports, and eliminate, obviously, transactions you forgot about. Like it might be some pesky little recurring $3 thing or whatever it is from some website. Cancel all those. And if you're having problems canceling them, call the credit card company and tell them to cancel it. Or if you have this luxury, cancel that credit card completely, so you don't keep getting billed for that sort of thing. That's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is look at all of your monthly expenses and then call up companies that you pay the monthly expense to and ask them for discounts. And I used to do this all the time with Comcast, which is my cable provider. I used to call them and I would say, I want to cancel my Comcast account. And they'll say, why? And then I would say, because I'm replacing it with Netflix. And they'd say, whoa, wait a second. How about this? We'll give you 50% off for the next couple of months or whatever it is. Just call them and just tell them you want to cancel. If you really do want to cancel, or call them and ask for discounts. And obviously if you have other expenses like a gym membership, put it on hold. For until you're allowed to go outdoors again after this whole coronavirus craziness is done. And when you call up these companies and ask for discounts, if they don't give it to you, then just very politely say, can I please speak with your manager? Then they'll make it happen, right? You got to ask. Ask and you will receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. You got to ask. You got to ask. What I would also do is if you owe a lot of money in rent or your mortgage or other debt, I want you to call whoever you owe money to and ask them if you can go a couple of months without paying. Make sure, though, if you do this, that you research it to the extent that you understand if it's going to hurt your credit rating or not. Also, and I don't know what country you're in, but if you're in the United States, for example, there's a stimulus package of over $2 trillion. And you might be able to get some sort of stimulus check. And so if you live in America, you can call your member of parliament, or pardon me, you can call your congressperson. And the congressperson might not answer, somebody else might, and you'll be on hold for a while. And you can just ask them for help. What can you do to get help? And they're elected officials by the people, for the people, for you. If you live in another country, you can call your MP, your member of parliament, for example, if you're part of the Commonwealth, Canada, Australia, whatever, or England, and just ask for help. Ask for help. Or just do a search online on wherever you're from and the word coronavirus stimulus or economic packages or help or whatever it is. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah. But best of luck to you. And if you've tried that and if it didn't work, please let me know, because I want to humbly help with other humble suggestions as well. Thank you. Hey, Yash. Yash is saying, what are the precautions for a new investor while investing in equity shares? Yeah. So I recommend before you buy any stock to do a one-page write-up on your thoughts on the financials, your thoughts on the management team, your thoughts on the fundamentals in general, your thoughts on the valuation. Do a one-page write-up. And you can take my MBA degree program, or you can take a course of mine called the Complete Financial Analyst Course, which will teach you how to do this. You can go to harouneducation.com for more details on all that. And I've got a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee in everything I sell, always. But I don't think you should ever buy a stock without doing a write-up first. Always, always, always. Because it'll make you less emotional and more logical about the whole process. And as Warren Buffett said, the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Think about that. Think about that. Selling something because it's cheaper. But if you do a one-page investment write-up, like I was talking about, then you won't be tempted to sell if some stupid news release comes out that has nothing to do with your investment in that company. Yeah. It's also a great screening device as well, or process, I should say. You're writing down your thoughts before investing. And it'll also act as a Heisman or a blocker from you pulling the trigger too early without doing your own research. It's kind of like starting a business. You got to write a business plan. Most people don't. And that's why most businesses fail, because failing to plan is plan to fail. All right, next up is Vikas is saying, hey, Chris, you should become a motivational speaker. Have you ever done a TED Talk or something like that? Yeah, no, thank you, Vikas. Yeah, I've done a TEDx Talk. So the difference between a TEDx Talk and a TED Talk is a TED Talk's a bigger deal. But they're all in the same place. A TEDx Talk is kind of like a regional thing, which I've done. But if you want, you can go to my YouTube page and you'll find, or just do a search on my name and TED Talk or TEDx Talk. Yeah. Thank you for that comment. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Doris is from England. She's wonderful. She's one of my MBA degree students as well. Very personable. She said, I like the MBA program trailer. Thank you. And I appreciate that. Thank you. It's actually the first version of it. And what I did was I actually have, there's a guy named Adad who is in the Czech Republic, in Prague. And I usually fly there to have my trailers done. And so he's working on it right now. And he's going to have the final version of the trailer done soon. The problem is that I couldn't get, I couldn't go to Prague for obvious reasons because of COVID. And so what I did was I actually set up in my house here, I set up a green screen and then Adad made the trailer. And then he's not finished with it yet. So I kind of, as you can see, I parsed certain parts of it and then threw in just background music and it's on mute. You can't hear it. So we're kind of working on it. He's changing a bunch of things. Like he's changing he's going to make it easier to read. I found some of it was a bit harder for me to read. He's also going to make it full screen. So if you see here, the bands here, it's because it's cinematic. It's my fault because my other trailers were cinematic movie-like. And so what he's doing is he's going to remove these and make it 16:9, which is YouTube format. And then he's fixing it. Like we didn't like the green background here. He's going to change that to actually being a white background, which pops a little bit nicer. And then I don't like my face that close. And so he's actually going to do it farther away. And then I threw these in last minute, which were just from my awesome students. I'm going to fix that up. And then he's creating a Star Wars crawl in the background, which looks like this. See here? Yeah. So he's gonna fix that up as well. We made some changes, and then just little things like at the very end here. I'll show you. Yeah, right here. So you see here, if I pause here, right here, the H is covering part of the screen. So we're just going to perfect that. And he's got lots of sounds and different animations he's working really, really hard on. And I'll show you that. Yeah. So anyway, and this is what the videos look like. You see this here? So let me drag this here just to show you. So it looks like this initially when you're recording. Okay, and that's my green screen here, which is why we had green screen last week. But that's what it looks like here. And you can see the lighting behind me. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. And so I did 14 takes of it, and he pulled it from here directly. Yeah. And I had to actually turn the camera sideways because we didn't get my full body in my studio here. And the more room you have, the less perfect it's going to be. And we actually recorded this in 4K. So he's still working on cleaning up that now. But he's great. He's great. Just unfortunately, I couldn't travel to the Czech Republic to do that. Thank you for the feedback, though. I appreciate it, Doris. Thanks. And then Albus is saying, how can I form a great team? I see many people wanting to join, and I don't feel they have the motivation and dedication. How can I hire better people? Yeah. So it's a game of numbers. The more people you interview, the better quality people you can get. So whenever I interview people, I want to make sure that I get the feeling, and I go with my gut, that they're not interviewing for a job. They're interviewing for a passion, something they love doing, because they'll be much more productive. And the difference between an average engineer and an amazing engineer is literally 10x in terms of performance. And the difference between an average salesperson and a great salesperson is usually 2x better. But when you find people that are really passionate about what they're doing, they really love it, they don't see it as a job, then that's a great test to have, because they're going to be much more productive for you. You also got to interview. Like, I over interview. I hire very slowly and I fire quickly, and I rarely fire because I usually do a lot of due diligence. I've got a great team, but you want to hire slowly. And when I worked at Goldman Sachs, and the smartest people do not work at Goldman, but they interview, because they hired me. I'm not the smartest guy, but they interview more than anybody else, like 40 interviews sometimes just to get in. And it's a great thing to do, a great best practice, because what happens is the jerk factor is quite low, because we all know that if you hire one person with a bad attitude, it will destroy the culture for the entire company or the entire team, So I tend to interview in multiple environments. I interview over dinner. I interview over coffee. I interview in the office. I interview going on a walk. I interview with multiple people. I interview a lot. I really, really overdo it because, again, one bad employee can destroy the culture of a company or a team and really hurt profitability a lot. So I make sure I get along with people. And you got to go with your gut sometimes too. And you know that we've all had an experience in life where we got to know somebody and your gut told you, I don't trust this person. I don't know why, but I don't trust them. And then you went ahead and got into a relationship with them or did business with them or whatever it is. And they screwed you over. And then you tell yourself, oh, I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have trusted this person. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And so you really got to go with your gut as well. Your gut is always right. And if you interview people over and over and over again in different settings, you will find out if they're a jerk. Their true colors will shine through. They cannot act the whole time. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I do. I hate entitlement. I absolutely hate it. I love people that are willing to do anything. Sometimes you'll interview people that went to a great school and they're like, I'm not going to join your company and sweep the floor. I'm like, oh, let me teach you how. You know what I mean? Like, I want people that are a jack of all trades, that feel that they'll do anything to help productivity and to help the team, whatever it takes. And I do thorough background checks as well. I don't call references. It's so stupid. I don't know why people ask for references. Obviously, they're not going to ask people that are going to say bad things about them. Can you be my reference? It's moronic. So I use LinkedIn. I find people that know them, or people that know them, and I do due diligence. And we're at an age now where when you get older, you don't really say negative things about people as much. Like when you're younger, if you didn't like someone, you'd say, I don't like them. But when I ask people for their opinions on somebody else I'm about to hire, it's what they don't say that tips me off. If they don't say positive things about the person, like if they just say, yeah, I know that person, you read between the lines. Yeah. So I do a lot of due diligence. I make sure whoever I'm interviewing is not in it for the money ever. They're in it because they're very, very passionate, and they love what they do. You know, it's like Confucius said, find an occupation you enjoy, and you'll ever have a job for the rest of your life. And I believe it. Yeah. Anastasia is saying, "Thank you, Chris. Thanks for the reality check. You're most welcome." And then Fred is saying, "Hi, Chris. I enjoyed your MBA program. Thank you." No, you're most welcome. Thank you, Fred. I had a lot of fun making it. Yeah. And Siddharth is saying, "Why am I more worried about not finding an investor?" Yeah. You're going to have to give me a little bit more, please, just detail on why you're worried in general. And what I recommend for you to do, and this is free, is please go. And I've raised and managed over $1 billion in my career. And so I've learned everything there is to learn about raising money. But what you can do is go to my website, harauneducation.com, and scroll down and download this book. Okay, it's a book on how to network. It's over 200 pages. It'll help you a lot because you got to bond first in business. You know, relationships are more important than product knowledge, and that might help you a lot when it comes to raising money. Or sign up for my MBA degree program. I'm more than happy to help you out as well. Yeah. And Usama is saying, "Hey, Chris, my friends and I are making a 3D game. We technically know how to program, etc., but we don't know how to sell it. So what do you think?" Yeah. So the gaming industry is really, really tough. It's hard. I've invested a lot in the sector. You know, I've met with Bobby Kotick a number of times from Activision when I used to be an investor there. I've met with the founders and CEOs of every big video game company on the planet in every major country. And they're all great salespeople. That's how they became CEO. And that's how they become very, very successful. They're great salespeople. And the video game industry is really, really tough. Really tough. There's just a handful of companies that dominate. Now, if you think about it, how many publicly traded video game companies that are great are in the United States? There's EA, Electronic Arts. You know, there's Take-Two, which TTWO, Rockstar Games. They own GTA, which is my favorite game ever, GTA 5. GTA 6 apparently is going to be a lot like Vice City. I can't wait till it comes out. Please make it come out soon. And I love Red Dead Redemption. It's a great game as well. That's basically America in 1899. It's a history lesson as well. I love it. So aside from that, there's not that many. There's really not that many. There used to be THQI, which went belly up, THQ Games. Vivendi merged with Activision. ATVI is the ticker. Bobby Kotick's company. Funny guy. There's just not that many. And there's a reason there's not that many. Because it's a really, really tough business. It is. You know, and overseas there's just a handful as well. Like in China there's Shonda, the Nine, which is just a World of Warcraft platform. In Japan you've got Konami, Koei, as well as Nintendo, and just a handful of other. In Seoul you've got a couple as well. It's NCSoft. It's really, really tough. You got Ubisoft in France. It's hard. There's only a handful of companies in every major market that dominate. It's really, really tough. And yeah, you can sell your product over Steam if it's a PC game and you're creating it with the Unreal Engine. Or you can sell it in the Google Store or the App Store as well. They take 30% cut. But it's tough. Like I remember when the iPhone and Android devices first came out, more than 10 years ago, whatever. I was excited every week with my kids, or every day. What I would do with my kids, we'd say prayers, and then we'd play a game on iPad or whatever it is. And every week we'd download a new game. It was fun. It was exciting. Like Cut the Rope came out. You remember that one? Then Angry Birds and, Where's My Water and all these great games. Field Runner, which I loved. Oh my God, it was great. And then what happened was innovation died. And there's not that many great games that come out anymore. And the reason is because there's just not that much money in it. People will play a game for a week or two and then they'll get sick of it and move on to something else. It's tough. Or people will only play one game forever, like Fortnite or Call of Duty Online now, which is great. Or they'll play Clash of Clans, which I still play with my kids, mainly me, but with my kids too. And actually my son Matthew he's actually at home with this whole COVID craziness, terrible dilemma we're in. He started a business. I didn't tell him to do it. He did it himself with Twitch. and he's streaming, playing Clash of Clans. He's actually making a lot of money. It's amazing. I'm proud of him. I'll never tell my kids what to be or what to do. I want them to be happy and believe in God and be respectful and just enjoy their life. Do what they want to do. But it's tough. It's tough. And I find that, so I think you got to have somebody that can really, really sell working with you, and you need a Jobs. Like maybe you're a Wozniak and you need a Jobs. Like Steve Jobs and Wozniak is a great yin yang, because Woz is a great engineer. And Steve Jobs was a great salesperson, but not a programmer at all, not technical actually. So you need to find your Jobs, somebody you can partner with that could sell and get people excited about your product. Because what happens with apps in general, right? And I'll talk about apps in general, not just games, is it doesn't matter how good the app is. All that matters is how many subscribers do you have. And I'll give you an example. When Snapchat was first getting started, and Evan Spiegel was trying to raise money from venture capitalists here in the Bay Area. He met with them, and initially everyone's first reaction was, wait a second, you're telling me your app, I'll lose my pictures and videos? I don't want to lose pictures and videos of my kids. That business model doesn't make sense. 2 years later, Snapchat has like 10 million subscribers or whatever it is. Then the venture capitalists say, oh my God, that's the best business model ever. And so all the investors look at is the number of subscribers you have. Right, it's really, really tough. And Evan's actually a great salesperson as well. So you need that salesperson to be part of your management team to be able to sell, really, really sell. And maybe somebody that's got relationships with some studios, like the Naughty Dogs of the world. That maybe somebody that worked with them or partnered with them, because that gives you great credibility when you're trying to raise money from investors as well. It's tough. And the reason that a lot of these video game companies grow, like Electronic Arts or Activision, is because they buy studios. A lot of them are big and bureaucratic and they can't really innovate. And so they'll buy studios, or they'll license, IP from studios like Naughty Dog, for example, which makes Uncharted and The Last of Us. And The Last of Us Part 2 is delayed again. It kills me. It's supposed to come out next month. It's not now. But I think you need that salesperson to really help you out a lot. Because it's not just about great engineering when it comes to games. It's about networking aggressively and meeting people that are influencers in the sector, and networking with people that maybe work at Engadget, or maybe they I don't know, maybe they work at GameStop and they can actually get an article of yours online or profile your product, whatever it is. So what I recommend you do actually is go to my website and download my networking book for free. This is it here. Go to HarounVentures.com or HarounEducation.com. It gets URL forwarded. Download my networking book for free, and that will help you a lot in terms of meeting with people and networking to find people that are great salespeople that could partner with you and kind of solve for X, fill that gap with your video game company. And if you ever wanted to, you could share with me here on the weekly webcast what game it is. And I'd be more than happy to provide my humble thoughts on the game. I'm a gamer too. I love it. It's fun. Yeah. All right. And so the call is 3 hours long. It's going to end in a couple of minutes because I've got my MBA student office hours just for my MBA degree students. So if I don't answer your question, just copy and paste them into next week's, please. But I'll keep going for a little bit more time here. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Anastasia is saying, what advice do you have to people with no high school education or no higher education at this time? What market demands for hands-on experience or fancy degrees to get you through COVID and after that? Yeah. So a lot of great companies like Google, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, IBM, etc. A lot of these great companies don't require a degree anymore. And you can always retool. You can learn new skills by going to udemy.com or go to my website, harouneducation.com, and take my business courses or my MBA degree program. Or what you can do is you can start to network. So if you go to my website as well, you can download my networking book. And business is about go to harouneducation.com. Business is about relationships first, product knowledge second. And this is a 200-page book with several hours of YouTube videos in it. that I made to help you network, to take your career to the next level. Okay. And Jose is saying, hey, Chris, hope you're well. Likewise. Haven't been able to attend your last live videos, but I always check them out afterwards for interesting questions. Great to have you back. Thank you. And Jose is writing, I also wanted to thank you for giving me those courses for free a few weeks ago. I'm really enjoying the personal finance one. My pleasure. So thank you for all you do for teaching with such patience and passion. My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. And God bless you. And I'm humbled to say that I think I've hopefully made a small difference. I believe that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. I gave away over 1 million of my courses all over the world. And my team we've been working our asses off just answering questions from people who have taken the free courses, but it's for good cause. It's been fun. All right. And Brian is saying, hey, Chris, joining you for the first time from Durban, South Africa. Thank you. Thank you. Great to have you. Thank you. Next question is, hello, Chris. This is Donna. Hey, Donna. Now I got that Richie Valens song in my head. Hey, Donna. It's my third consecutive Thursday with you. I've signed up for your business plan course. Thank you. Thank you, Donna. God bless you. Great to have you. And thank you for your support. I appreciate it. So that's my alarm. I got to go now for the, we got the MBA students only office hours starting in a second. Yeah. So I'm actually going to have to wrap it up, guys. I'm so sorry. But if you have questions that I haven't answered and I won't be able to get to them, I apologize. If you're my MBA degree student, just paste it again in MBA office hours, which starts at 11:15 my time. If you subscribe to my vlog, if I can speak good, if you subscribe to my vlog, I will see you tomorrow because I vlog every day. If not, God bless you and have a great weekend. And I'll see you next Thursday and every Thursday forever at 8 a.m. San Francisco time. And within 24 hours of this call's conclusion, you can actually go to the description of this video and you can actually click on different times and all the questions will be indexed for you. And check out our MBA degree program too. At HarounEducation.com. There's a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Thank you. God bless y'all. And I'll see you next week. Hi, I'm Chris Haroun, and this MBA degree program is not what you think. It's better. This program is more than 25 years of business experience, all rolled into one easy-to-access online program. I've sold over 1 million courses in every single country. I've worked at Goldman Sachs. I have an MBA from Columbia University, and I've worked in the venture capital, hedge fund, and consulting industries. I've also started many companies, and my courses have been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, CNN, and NBC. If you're ready to nail your next interview, get a better job, get a raise, start that business you've always dreamt of, improve the one you currently run, or better manage your personal finances, then this MBA degree program is for you. I can't begin to tell you how comprehensive this program is. It's got everything, including more than 300 hours of on-demand video. And check out all the amazing reviews from students who have already enrolled in this MBA degree program. This on-demand version of the program is only $499, and it's more up to date than many of these old-fashioned MBA programs, which cost you well over $100,000. Not to mention, They don't even teach you the practical concepts included in my program. Last but not least, there is a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. And because you can access this program from any device, meaning a desktop computer or a laptop computer or a tablet or even your smartphone, it means you can comfortably fit it into your schedule. Even if you work full-time, it's no problem. So if you're ready to unlock the key to your potential, then I'll see you in class.